Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and it's a very special edition of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And it's very special, not because of the people that are with me tonight, but because it is the best and worst of 2021 edition of Unger the Radar, where we're going to talk about our favorite movies, some not so favorite movies. We've got a lot of picks. We've got over 30 movies, I think even more than that with all of our lists. But yeah, I just want to welcome everybody right now. We have Rachel Cole. Always a pleasure. Rachel, welcome. Ladies first.
Happy to be here.
Yes, and Mr. Eric Godfrey. Hey, Eric.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Yeah, for sure. And Mr. Chris Clemente. Welcome, sir.
Hey.
And these fine gentlemen next to me. This is my security detail.
His entourage.
Yes. We've got Mr. Matt Roran, Mr. Forrest Bennett, and this is going to be a really good show. I'm very excited.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we did this. Not all of you were here last year when we did our top 10 lists, but I'm glad we have some new additions, some recurring guests of Under the Radar. So I'm really happy to have you guys here in person and virtually. So this is great. Let's get right to it. So we're gonna get we're gonna get this over with already. The worst of 2021. And my list was pretty short. For me, I really just had Tom and Jerry is the first one. And I don't know if it's on any of you guys.
It was on mine.
What?
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry.
Don't ever put kids movies on my worst of list because it's like, like a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
If they're not Disney, they're usually pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, but if you're gonna if you can do Who Framed Roger Rabbit, then you can do, and you're gonna try and copy that
That's
for
true.
Tom and Jerry.
I do, but I feel like I often leave animated films off my list also.
So you say that, even though last year when it came to animated movies, it was very strong.
I mean, okay, so there have now been two feature-length Tom and Jerry movies, and both of them committed a cardinal sin against those characters, in that Tom and Jerry are friends working together when they're rivals in the cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total disappointment. I was definitely expecting a Roger Rabbit.
And also the fact that it's got like a promising cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That
Exactly.
doesn't over.
You got Chloe Grace Moretz, who's beautiful. She's a very talented young actress, but she's overshadowed by all this bullshit in this movie.
Matt Roran,
Yeah.
were you excited for the comedy stylings of Colin Jost?
Yes. I was looking forward to that Staten Island charm.
He needed
To be fair though, Randy,
it was
and I haven't seen it, but was Tom and Jerry catered more towards kids though?
Yeah, it was
This is why I put it on my list, is that it is confused. It doesn't know who it's for. It has a whole long, elongated subplot about a wedding that it's kind of trying to take seriously. And there's this conversation where she's like talking about the pressures of this wedding and everything. And I'm just like, who is this scene for?
Yeah.
Who is supposed to be entertained by this?
And then it's like
I
trying to
know.
do like this
It should be a
Zootopia
romantic
thing where
I think what
Tom and Jerry.
really bothered me was the fact that they had the animated characters and the humans, the live action, living together in harmony,
because they're like trying to do like this Zootopia thing where it's like the animated character, but it's like it's normal. Like when Tom shows up, they're like, of course I'm going to hire an animated cat. That's normal. I'm not going to be sued by the ADA for not hiring Tom.
I was glad at least every single animal in the movie is animated, because there's nothing that's like a worse pet peeve to me is when they have like anthropomorphic characters. And then the rest,
Real animals.
like if they were like real mice in the hotel.
Because the thing is,
Like a Stuart Little.
I do appreciate the fact that they stuck to like at least some kind of reality.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, oh, it's both.
Right.
Like
It was just bad. Just overall.
I mean, but the movie wasn't good.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Now like a reverse Space Jam.
Which leads to my next movie.
Yes.
Space Jam: A New Legacy. This is one of this. There are just two movies on my worst list, and this made the cut.
Both live action animated hybrids from Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like
both movies I went to see in the theater and paid tickets for kids, even though it was
weirdly enough, Matt, how you felt about Tom and Jerry is how I felt about Space Jam. It's like I saw it, I'm like, well, what did I expect?
Yeah,
it's like it's like okay.
I felt the same way. I was like,
I think the only thing that threw me off was when they're like trying to do this thing of the Looney Tunes have invaded all the other Warner Brothers stuff, and it's like, hey kids, remember the Matrix? And it's like,
Orange.
you have maybe a more modern thing for these guys to hang out with.
The background characters, the Warner Brothers properties in the background.
Where it's like, oh, okay, flying monkeys.
But then it's like, okay, let's do the let's have let's have the Matrix, but let's have Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote and Mad Max Fury Road.
It went
like,
now, I don't know if you
who
guys
is this
remember,
for?
Do you remember in 2003 Looney Tunes Back in Action? It suffered the same thing. That was actually a slightly better movie, which kind of brought the Looney Tunes characters with the human hybrids.
And that was a clear case of like super disappointment.
Oh my god!
Because I mean,
Joe
Dante. Joe Dante. Steve Martin.
Yeah.
I mean,
Brendan Fraser.
Even Brendan Fraser in like a heroic role. That was his peak right there.
Like that cast, it should have killed. And it was
the only redeeming quality. Jerry Goldsmith's one of his last film scores.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, it had some good
because
I actually never watched that whole thing.
That's bad. I rewatched it a few months ago.
And this new Space Jam. So my nephew came to visit me over the summer, and he was watching it like in front of me while I was working. But I always like watched it from the corner of my eye. I never like sat at the whole thing.
I've never seen the original Space Jam.
I saw the original.
It's not terrible.
Oh my god!
It's not that great either. But
I was a big fan back in the day. That was my jam, Space Jam. Saw that in the theater.
Nice.
I didn't see the new one, but I'm sure it didn't capture the magic of the old.
Well, were you watching the old one? And you're like, that's great. Bill Murray shows up, all this stuff. But you know what I really need? I need the cast of the Clockwork Orange in the background cheering on the Looney Tunes while they're playing.
I need to kill Bugs Bunny and make sure the groups are watching.
Yeah. Oh god.
Like what?
I don't know what.
Although I will give the movie one prop. And that was the Michael B. Jordan joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
That joke did land.
Who were the opponents in this movie?
Who knows?
It was the
Space.
It was Bad Guy Program Man.
Yeah, you had Ali.
Oh, Don Cheadle, right?
LG Rhythm.
Oh yeah, that villain, the John Cheadle role could have been really, really good, but they totally ruined it. I think it was the script, it was the direction.
Oh, the script was terrible.
Yeah,
script was.
At least Cheadle was having fun.
You make a good point before.
That was the only decent thing about it.
You make a good point before because Tom and Jerry mentioned Space Jam. We're touching on Matrix that will probably be talked about quite a bit tonight, but I felt like last year was almost like the year of movies we didn't ask for but were made. There was quite a few of them. So I feel like with the home streaming or same day delivery, I think they're still trying to test the waters as to what what properties will fail or succeed.
It was the year of nostalgia, in my opinion.
That's a good way of saying it.
A lot of reboots, a lot a lot of lot of stuff.
I mean, I feel like
sadly that's every year though.
I'm not gonna admit
More so.
Most of my top 10 could probably be considered a nostalgia. Most of my top 10.
A good chunk of mine is
like nostalgia based.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. So let's go around and do our. Those are my two worst.
Well, I'm just going to mention one quick worst of on my list because this movie had everything supposedly working for it and was terrible, and that was The Woman in the Window. Woman in the Window, terrible,
Adams, right?
Awful.
Nothing good about that movie.
I mean, aesthetically,
Amy Adams staring out the window with her drink.
I mean, I was for the cast, but
I think I reviewed this on the show.
It just tried to be a Hitchcock.
It was like too, but I will say that the new limited series on Netflix, the girl.
Oh yeah, the girl in the window.
But
doesn't that say everything?
It's
about the fact that you made a movie so bad, Netflix commissioned a parody of it,
and it is It's great
You're missing a lot of bad movies.
it's a comedy. It's actually like serious,
straightforward,
but like it parodies those movies while not being a comedy.
Okay.
With Kristen Bell.
It doesn't make sense that it's good, but I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
What it kind of reminds me of is that that series, the one that Will Ferrell did with Kristen Wiig. It was, oh my gosh, what was the name of the series? It was so good, but it was like a take on like those, like, because it kept coming back to Will Ferrell's as this Orson Welles type character.
Oh yeah,
and he plays it totally straight, just drinking through the whole thing, just mumbling incoherently, and it keeps cutting to like this sort of like masterpiece theater story with it.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Rachel, what else do you have on your worst of?
What else was there?
We're gonna do a round robin now.
I guess for me, I'll pull the. I had Woman in the Window. I had Tom and Jerry. For me, probably my least favorite movie last year, the controversial one, was Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, wow.
I don't care for. I love Zack Snyder as a director. I do not care for his take on superheroes, and I do not care for a 4-hour ego trip down of Snyder. I thought it was, and the problem was, it's like it's a well-made movie, but it is bad.
Well, the regular cut is decent, you know.
It's like the regular cut. I didn't have that many problems with the regular, like the Whedon cut, but it wasn't great.
Yeah,
like leaving aside, of course,
there were elements of the Snyder cut that I'm like, oh, he fixed that. That was cool. Like the Flash stuff, I really liked, and all the Flash stuff that I assumed was Whedon because it was funny. Turned out it was actually Snyder stuff, which blew my mind, and it gave us more of that, which I appreciated. What I didn't need is like a 40-minute post-apocalyptic Batman hanging out with Jared Leto. Like, let that Joker go.
Well, guys, a short little plug here for Pickle.
Not serious about it, man.
These have been staring at me for the past few minutes, and I had to break into these. But we've got Mr. Matt Roran, who works Pickle Island, owner, or
co-owner.
Yeah. Brought these lovely pickles. These are the half sour variety, and I'm very excited. They're supposed to taste like cucumber. Right?
They're most like a cucumber.
Like
They're new pickles.
All right, so I'm gonna open it in a few minutes. Just letting. Okay.
but the Flash stuff.
Now a word from our sponsor.
But it's like let Joker go. Like Leto like proved himself to be a bad Joker. First time around. Don't just give him long hair, take away some tattoos, and think he's gonna be better.
Yeah. But my main problems were, taking aside, of course, all the stuff with Whedon on the set. What I will give Whedon as a writer, it's clear where the difference was between the two was Zack sees them as gods and wants them treated as such, and wants to put Superman in the most ugly outfits humanly possible, and Joss wants to humanize them. And so the problem, that was the gap there. And I think that's why, even though I will admit the original one has better ideas, the execution being horrible on both of them, at least there was a humanity in what Whedon was trying to do versus what Snyder does. And the fact that Snyder went even further and refused to close the loop essentially for the Snyder people, and now force them to beg for 3 more Snyder cuts is just, I think, pretty mean.
Apparently Dobby is a Snyder cut fan.
Oh.
He's just growling in the background here.
All right, and I'm just gonna go for my field of vision right here. So, Mr. Roran.
Okay, well, mine was Woman in the Window and Snyder cut. So we got those out of the way. This one now I feel bad about because it's on someone's top 10 list. Was The Little Things, which is a movie that I thought was well written. But in the acting department,
I was excited.
100% lacking.
I love Denzel.
I love Denzel. Yeah. I thought his performance was very mediocre.
Leto was decent, actually.
Who?
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto was actually my favorite part of the film, which is something I don't really think, because what's his face?
Rami Malek.
Ooh, Rami Malek
he was wasted.
He did his part
Yeah.
pretty much the same as he does Mr. Robot, but it's supposed to be like, I love my family. I have a family I love very much, but also I have no human emotions. But I love my family and I want to protect them from a robot family. And I just like was like, I liked. I mean, I don't know if it falls on like the director just like not knowing how to direct the actors, because even though the cinematography was good, but I just felt like the acting and over like I expected so much from Denzel.
It was missing
and Malik.
something. It was really something was missing. I don't know why.
I don't know. That was in reference of me because it's on my top 10. But looking at all the notches, cinematography, writing, directing, performance, I could see that. I'll give you that. I think just as a piece of writing, I think I just love the twists and turns and the constant guessing and the suspense, and it just rubbed me the right way, especially like earlier on in the year. It kind of set the bar a little bit high for me. So I loved it. I
mean, it's like the writing, I appreciated a lot. You know, it just came down to like, I just didn't buy the acting.
Right.
And I thought Denzel gave a good performance.
It makes me feel weird when Leto is the best part of something.
Well, there was a Denzel
good.
Past year.
Everyone shits on Jared, but he gives it a good shot.
There was
Matt, you're clearly showing you haven't seen House of Gucci because you want another Jared Leto stealing the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gucci.
Actually, I absolutely loved him in that film.
All right, we're gonna get to that in a few minutes, guys. Definitely.
Yes.
And also, we're gonna talk about another Denzel movie in the next few minutes as well. Yeah. So, okay, we're at me. I did me.
You did yours.
I did mine.
first.
And Mr. Bennett.
Okay, so one movie that's already on my worst list that we've already discussed was Tom and Jerry, but also on my worst list was Coming to America 2, Black Friday with Bruce Campbell.
That wasn't terrible. I mean, it could have been a lot better.
Didn't see it.
Habit, a nunsploitation flick starring Bella Thorne. Zeros and Ones with Abel Ferrara with
We
Ethan
finally
Hawke.
got to review
Oh
that.
my god,
Yeah,
that we watched,
Yeah.
and then you didn't have us review it,
Right,
Yeah.
because it was too early.
Oh.
The publicist didn't want me to review it right away. So
And
Yeah,
that turned out
that
to be
movie
shit.
was that movie.
Actually,
Yeah.
I would say a disappointment for Abel Ferrara and Ethan Hawke.
and Ethan Hawke, yeah.
I agree.
And,
But I
yeah.
did respect that they made a movie
During
during the
the
height of the
yes.
pandemic. That was
Yeah.
It was
that
very
respectable.
mean. It just meandered a lot. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My worst was Eternals, the first Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that I disliked.
Wow.
I'm sorry. It was
I didn't put it as my top, but that's a hard disagree for me.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where, like, I mean, I'm one of those like weird dudes that's like, I'm like a lifelong Eternals fan. I've always been a fan, and they're like a comic that no one's ever wanted because every time they do it, it's like 5 issues long, 12 issues long, always gets canceled.
Yeah.
I've always
freaking
appreciated
cancel culture.
it's so Jack Kirby.
Oh yeah.
That I just I've always been a big fan. It was cool to see on the big screen. It definitely is probably my least favorite Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you on that.
I still loved it. I saw it twice in the theater.
I mean, the runtime, it was almost. This was
It was
also
like- yeah,
almost
it was
like
the
4 hours.
longest-
Well, to Matt's point, if an Eternals issue is if it's 6 issues long, the 5 issues are explaining where the Eternals came from, and then
Yeah.
But,
I
I
will say that
to me it just felt like if what a DC movie would be like if it was done right.
Thank you.
Like,
it was
oh, this is the best Justice League movie that was ever made.
True.
It had one of my like most hated endings of the whole year, though. Not
True,
the
very true.
final fight, but the actual ending in the movie I thought was atrocious.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's probably helped that I'd already seen No Way Home twice by the time I got to watching Eternals.
But the acting was relatively decent, and I
Yes,
love the
yeah.
costume design. The costumes look great.
Yeah,
But
for
they
me-
they do in all Marvel movies.
But for me, it was like the pacing just really
Yeah.
dragged.
Yeah,
through.
I mean, well, that's the thing that most DC movies suffer from, and that Marvel hasn't really had was you're introducing like 12 characters in one movie.
Yeah.
They've never had to do that before.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
that's, you know, they you know, Avengers.
That's a good point.
8th movie in the franchise or
Right. They were
whatever.
all established. Yeah.
You know, so it's like everyone's
Mhm.
established already.
Right. Right.
So this is just
Yeah.
like, oh, how do we, you know, it's a learning thing, you know, like
Yeah.
Mhm.
next time they do you know, it's like Guardians, it worked because James
Mm.
Gunn's a fucking genius,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
besides that, I
Plus, it
mean,
was a smaller team.
it's a small
Yeah.
team,
Yeah.
Different style.
and they're all, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Different tone. Yeah.
yeah, a different tone.
All
You
right.
know, it's like almost like a buddy jailbreak film, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Nice,
it's fun.
All right, so Eternals, yeah, not the greatest Marvel movie, but still, you know, it's up there. But I don't know what list it's on. It's not on any of my lists, that's for sure. But yeah, Mr. Clemente, worst for you.
Sure, yeah. So I'll say my worst for last because it was just a complete disappointment. But Matrix Resurrection, Red Notice, Coming to America, and bottom of the list, something that I was really, really excited to see, and it was so disappointing, was Crying Macho. I'm a big
I saw that on a few of your lists, and
What, Cry Macho?
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it.
I mean,
I
I
just-
feel like the last
unfortunately, yeah,
5 Clint Eastwood movies were like so phone, like everything post American Sniper has been like well, including American Sniper,
Mm.
has been like so phoned in.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like
I liked American
the
Sniper.
Mule and
Yeah.
Cry Macho and
Yeah, I like the Mule. I thought Mule was solid, but you know, I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan.
Yeah.
I remember when Gran Torino was playing. Everyone was like, "That's the last that he's gonna act," and he always said like, "I didn't say that. I didn't say that." After watching this, it was so cringy, and I felt bad for him. Like it was the first time where I saw Clint on screen, and I'm like, "Oh, like he needs
You're
to
old,
retire. He needs to,
Yeah.
he needs
Yeah,
to
I
stop."
feel like the
Well,
Mule
like,
and this
we-
were like definitely
Yeah.
where he was like, I'm in pain every breath I
Yeah.
take."
Yeah.
Yeah, like there was one scene I remember him.
His last. This
Even
is-
30
yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
Unforgiven felt like it should have been his
Yeah.
swan song to tough guy roles.
Oh yeah,
Wait, which
definitely.
Yeah,
Unforgiven.
But-
That 30
Oh
years
yeah,
ago.
that
Oh,
would've
yeah,
been perfect,
Unforgiven.
yeah.
but I mean, like he's still nailing it in the directing department,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like just as far as him acting and
Mystic River,
even
and,
the plot,
in
the
Line
plot
of Fire.
really just
Our
didn't go
baby.
for me. It was
Yeah.
just meandering, and it just didn't nail it. I really at the end I really felt bad for Clint, and like I was like, man, he needs to
Yeah.
stop, and that was really a hard pill to swallow for me.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Yeah, I kind of just like didn't put it on any of my lists because it's just kind of like, yeah, it's just a movie that fell under my radar. It's just like, and as far as Coming to America, yeah, it's a bad movie. I think the worst part about it was super disappointing after he made the Dolomite.
Dolomite?
Dolomite's
Mhm.
fine.
which
So,
was
yeah.
amazing.
that was
And
amazing. Yeah.
it was
Yes,
like,
it
oh,
was.
maybe this Coming to America movie will be good.
Right.
And it was like, all right, never
I
mind.
think if John Landis returned and the original writers, I don't think they were involved with this project.
No.
But it was just like a weird. It didn't feel like it was part of the same universe, and that was what was.
I think
disappointing to me.
I think you got a point. I think that's like the missing part that a lot of these executives aren't realizing is that what made a lot of the originals awesome and really connected well is that it had to do with the director, it had to do with the writer. I mean, definitely the content and the franchise has a lot to do with it, but it was just a combination of everything that creates that spark. And when you kind of mismatch everything,
Yeah.
and it falls apart, you know.
And that's kind of
But
what
that's why the new Indy 5, which is not going to be directed by Steven Spielberg, I don't think like it's going to be what people are expecting it to be. You know, so like,
I can agree with that.
That's why I agree with you with your placement of Matrix Resurrections on your list. The execs don't know what the hell they're doing.
I saw it was on your top 10.
I put Matrix on my
It's,
top
and
10.
it's on my
Well,
honorable
that was on
mention.
my-
It
that was
almost
on
made
my-
my top 10.
Worse.
For me, that
well,
was
if
my list of
if one of the original directors, right, was going to say,
Yeah.
hey, I have this idea, I'm going to create this, and HBO Max is like, we have this platform now. We like it. I mean, it's a definitely a cash grab.
Sure.
After hearing a lot of interviews with Lana Wachowski, she mentioned that she wrote this as closure for when her mother died, so or her parent died. So it was like a spur of the moment thing, and I think she needed that. So I'm not sure if that was fun.
Use it as therapy.
I guess I see where you're coming from, but I feel like calling it a cat. Like the problem is like I think it was set up as a cash grab, but I think Lana came back because Lily didn't want to because it was just too much for her to. So Lana came back, and I think she took what was going to be a Matrix nostalgia cash grab and turned it into a 2-hour therapy session. And that's pretty much one of the reasons why I put it on my top 10. We can go into more when we get to it, but I understand I can understand why it's definitely much more divisive than even the sequels. I would say
I absolutely hated the second and third, so I just skipped it.
Reloaded has
I actually
some good parts to it.
Better than this new one.
I did go see the first one again in the theaters when they released it right before this came out, and even the first one, I'm like, it's good, but it definitely didn't feel as good to me as it did.
It's Reloaded, I think, is actually pretty good. I think Reloaded has you can definitely see some cracks there, but overall Reloaded, like the highway scene alone is Reloaded. Revolutions on the other hand.
And I was just like, all right. But I remember there being moments I liked. The third one, I just couldn't even get through.
The only thing that I'll say, as I know we need to move along, but the only thing that I will say about Matrix Resurrections was I was so happy to see cast members from Sense8 getting more work with Lana Wachowski, because I loved all of the actors that she brought over from Sense8 are all terrific and really need to keep getting work.
Okay. As for me, it was lacking something. A lot of these action movies are lacking.
Yeah, I fell asleep watching it.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's the best review right there.
I will have more to say later on.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it.
Is any more on your worst list?
I think that's enough.
You said it all, my friend. All right. So now, guys, we're going to get into our shame list. So the shame list these are movies of 2021 that we unfortunately did not get a chance to see, but were very critically acclaimed, very popular with the audiences. We just didn't have the time or the inclination, or we couldn't get to see them, basically, and we're ashamed of that fact. For me, there was one called Old Henry, and it's a Western starring, I forget the gentleman's name, the actor. He was in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Tim Blake Nelson.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Eric. That was great. It was not popular at all, but it looked really, really good. It almost has like a Coen Brothers feel to it, but that's his association with the Coen Brothers in Buster Scruggs. So I'll get to that eventually. And then here are two Disney films that I did not get a chance to see. The first one is called Luca.
That was on mine.
Yeah, it's a Pixar film. I think about I think it actually dabbles in homosexuality.
He's like a mer boy.
Yeah,
right?
It's sort of like The Shape of Water. It seems like he falls in love with a mermaid type creature or a merman.
There's definitely,
I think it's stretching it a little bit. I've heard that comparison too, and I don't quite get. I mean, I understand why people are making that connection, but it's a really stretch.
Okay.
Without giving too much away, what I'll tell you is they're both mer people. It's when they're drying on land, they look like normal people, but if you get them wet, then they become sea creatures.
Yeah. And basically,
also Disney movie.
Yeah, Daryl Hannah and Splash.
Basically, both of them have an interest in what the land people are up to, and they want to go explore the village. So they start doing that together. They start and they make friends with a girl in the town who is entering a bike race that they do every year, and they decide they're all going to help her win the bike race so that they can win this money and go travel.
So it's about the two of them trying to be incognito in this Italian town.
And it also happens to be a fishing town.
Right.
So
staying away from water.
The fact that they are fish is a big problem. And there's literally there's local mythology about the fish, and people are constantly trying to catch them and spear them and everything. So
And I'm assuming since it's Pixar, it's very heartwarming and fun.
Oh yes,
Yes,
very
yeah.
heartwarming.
It's
It's
great.
really good. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It is very good.
I'm gonna check it out.
I thought if I could just say one thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought the animation style was a little bit different than the typical rendering that we expect from Pixar. So it's kind of nice.
Cool guys, thanks for the input there.
Yeah.
And next up, I think everyone saw this but me, Raya and the Last Dragon.
That was excellent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
Also excellent.
So those are two
Highly enjoyable.
Yeah.
All right. Good,
I
good
really
to know.
liked it.
More
That-
Disney for you.
That's why it's the shame list, guys. All right, and next up on the list, I think this is on a few of your lists as well.
Yeah.
That was on my honorable
I think it's
mentions.
called
Titane.
Titane. Yeah, Titane. I
Yeah,
think,
I've heard a lot of
Body
great things.
horror.
science fiction about a cyborg.
Well,
But
she wasn't a cyborg, but she was.
Not a cyborg.
not cyborg.
She had
No.
she had like some serious injuries.
Okay, so she has like
Yeah, she was
yeah.
in a car accident
Oh, I
and just
see.
had like
cybernetic.
not even cybernetic, just like
Metal,
metal pole, like metal.
plates.
Oh, okay. I completely
hand, yeah.
misread that poster.
Yeah.
All right. So that's Titane.
Must have
Yeah.
been watching Black Mirror.
Yeah. Next up is Benedetta.
That was I just saw that one last week.
Yeah. No, don't give too much away. It's a Paul Verhoeven.
Yes,
Yeah.
like I don't because I haven't really because Paul Verhoeven,
Hmm.
he's one of my favorite directors. Like just for RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, and Basic Instinct.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Starship Troopers is amazing.
And but like I haven't really kept up with him since he left Hollywood and went back to Europe.
Mm.
So this is like my first new Paul Verhoeven movie I've seen
Mhm.
in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's still got it.
Yeah.
It's
I-
still
I absolutely love
Is it a thriller or a drama or what is
drama.
It's a drama.
It's a period drama, but it's like, you know, if you know Paul Verhoeven, it's sleazy, violent.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
so much like his old pre-Hollywood
Oh,
stuff,
okay.
Nice.
but with a budget,
Mm.
Yes,
and which is like the perfect like
Mhm.
Verhoeven.
Well,
Like,
but it's
yeah.
actually, although I would say, well, even that's good, but still, it's like it's amazing. It's like he can still do this stuff without, you know, like without the big budget or the special effects that he had with his Hollywood
Yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
or the all-star cast, or no all-star.
Yeah.
No, there's no big names. He can still, he's
Well,
still very effective.
Basic Instinct. If he didn't have the big names of Stone and Douglas, that could have worked really well too.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe, but yeah, but it wouldn't have been a
It wouldn't
the
have been
phenomenon,
successful.
cultural phenomenon it was.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
No Wayne Knight would have made a big difference.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a glowing review,
Yeah, definitely.
guys. All right. And last on the shame list for me is the Joaquin Phoenix film Come On, Come On.
Which
That's
Yep.
on mine.
Mhm.
That
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
that wasn't even under my radar.
but
I saw the preview for it. I'm with you there. I wanted to see it. I just didn't get around to it.
It's Mike
Same here.
Miller. It was like I waited. That one and Licorice Pizza were like the two like indie films that like I was like
Yep.
so mad that the cinema wasn't open, Cinema Arts Center wasn't open, because it's like
Mhm.
waiting for them to come from the city to Long Island. Just like
Mhm.
So the second it came out, I went,
Nice.
and I just love Mike Mills' style.
Mhm.
Cinematography.
What's the premise? And he's a father?
It's just about like he's an uncle,
Oh, his uncle. Okay.
just like hanging out with his nephew, like,
Okay.
and he's doing a project where he's like filming people and basically like he has a job where he films kids and stuff. It's just a very like
Okay.
it's very simple but interesting, and his
Yeah.
mom, the kid's mom's like very busy, so basically his uncle, who's kind of like not really like, I guess, a super responsible adult,
Mm.
ends up like taking the nephew like out on the road with him and like
Okay.
whatever. It's just like an interesting
Sounds like
like
a little bit like a film we're going to probably be discussing in a little while, the Tender Bar.
yeah.
The
I mean
relationship between
it's
the uncle
it's
and
definitely
nephew, yeah.
along those lines, but it's
Okay.
definitely a movie you need to check out.
Definitely
Sure.
will.
2021, the year of the uncle.
All right, so I gave my shame list, and we're gonna go ladies first. Rachel, shame list.
Okay, so we've already discussed Come On, Come On. That was on my list. I also had, I'll just go through these really quickly. Nightmare Alley. Just did not get around to it. I'm going to be watching it probably tomorrow if I have a chance to. Ghostbusters Afterlife, still have not had a chance to see it yet. Also, No Time to Die. Have not seen that either.
Oh,
Wait, which one? Wait, what was the last one?
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
Okay.
that was a
Yeah.
I just want to say one funny thing. This is the first James Bond movie that I actually saw since License to Kill.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
You mean in theaters or at all?
No, at all.
Wow.
Oh, you didn't see Skyfall?
James Bond fan.
33 years?
And
You missed the entire Brosnan.
I missed all of Brosnan's, which I loved Remington Steele when I was a kid. But
Rest Doubtfire.
I just skipped his entire. I was never like
It's not a
super,
bad thing, really.
super interested in James Bond, but now I'm like reading James Bond comics, and I'm like kind of like I gotta go back and watch these James Bond movies.
Yeah,
So-
you obviously read the novels.
Yeah,
I want to get into those.
Nice.
especially Daniel Craig's. You know, it's known to be a very gritty, very personal James Bond. So
Yeah.
A lot of firsts for his one too.
mhm.
And rest of my list real quick. French Dispatch, again, just I haven't had access to it. I didn't get a
good.
chance to see it. I also wanted to see Flea, which was a animated film based on, I believe, a true account. So it's kind of like a documentary animation hybrid.
Yep.
And then Licorice Pizza was the last one I have not seen yet.
I should actually add Flea to my shame list as well, because I did hear great things about it. Like very innovative style and documentary, animated documentary. That's insane. I love that.
Telling a refugee story over an animated movie. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Good list, Rachel. Thank you. Eric, how about you, sir?
Pretty much everything that Rachel touched on. Come on. Especially with this group, I'm very ashamed to say I've not seen Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's just keeps getting pushed to the side. I don't know why I haven't seen it. I want to. Licorice Pizza is probably at the top of my list.
Shame.
Licorice Pizza is at the top of my list because I love Paul Thomas Anderson. Everything I've heard about it, this sounds like it's absolutely like my jam, and I just haven't. Also, I want to see Spencer because I'm weirdly on board the Robert Pattinson / Kristen Stewart I
never saw any Twilight movies, but I'm totally on board for them.
And the Batman.
I mean, I never saw Twilight, so like everything with Robert Pattinson in it, I've actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like I love this Cronenberg film.
Metropolis.
No.
I mean, I loved him in Lighthouse.
And Maps of the Stars.
Yeah.
I love all those films.
What's the movie he did a couple years ago? High Times or something?
High Times? Oh yeah.
Good Times.
Good times, yeah.
Good Times.
Thank you.
He was fantastic in Good Times.
Lighthouse.
He was fantastic in The Lighthouse.
They announced him as Batman. I'm like, damn straight.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's everyone's kind of crapping on his selection, but it reminds me of when Keaton was up for Batman back in the day. They were like, "Oh, Mr. Mom is going to be Batman? No way! Oh my God, Edward Collins is going to be Batman." I'm like, yeah, he's a good actor.
I think he's going to be fantastic, but also Kristen Stewart. So the Princess Di stuff with all the crown and Spencer looked really good.
Yes, and I was going to say that there's also another reason why Eric needs to see Spencer, because his mom loves Princess Diana. Her name is Diane, and she I will have to send a picture sometime, but she has a display of all of her Princess Diana stuff in her home, and it's impressive.
Oh, wow.
It is very impressive.
And the last one on my
Diana Beanie Babies you got?
She has 3.
She has, I was gonna say she has the large one and she has the regular size one. So
is your mom mad at Queen Elizabeth because she gave the Queen title to?
We're not going to talk about Camilla here.
Yeah, we don't talk about Camilla.
We don't talk about Mrs. Bowles here.
No.
But Eric, definitely see Spencer with your mom, because that would be a perfect mother-son.
I thought she was brilliant in the movie.
Yep.
The movie itself, it was just okay, but she was great.
Right.
But the last one, especially for talking about best of, especially with the Oscar buzz, I still have not seen Power of the Dog, which no excuse, especially considering it's on Netflix. I got no excuse.
Yeah, should be on there.
I think it's a little overrated, but it's not. It's
what?
A good film. It's beautiful.
Oh, picking fights.
Yeah, Jane Champion, is it? She did.
Yeah, the director. So I will watch it. I just haven't, and I have no valid excuses.
I would love to get your opinion on it, Eric.
And then we switched I couldn't do the date or whatever.
Yeah, it's on Netflix still, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chris, I'm definitely going to want to check it out when I get a chance.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's funny. I'm more likely to see the films in theaters than when they're like just giving to me like here, watch it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go to the theater instead. So I missed it. I missed it so far.
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
But that is my shames that I carry with me.
All right, good list. And Mr. Roran, you're up, sir.
My shame list is Land.
Is that Forrest Gump girl? What's her name?
Yeah,
Robin Wright.
Robin Wright. It was a movie that came out right as they were reopening theaters.
I'm sorry, Forrest Gump girl.
Bought tickets to go see it, and then couldn't make it. Or something.
That's Princess Buttercup.
Probably Under the Radar came out, and I canceled the ticket, and then the movie was just gone. So I mean,
I heard like a lot of good like critical acclaim for that.
So I want to see that, and
it's on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Well, I'll watch it in 7 years then. When it's not available, I'll buy it on eBay.
when it's been delisted from HBO.
When it's on the bargain bin.
The second movie on my list is Shiva Baby,
Awesome.
which is another thing. It wasn't in the theaters anywhere around here, so I didn't see it.
Right.
It's also on HBO Max.
Wow.
And it's so funny because every single thing that HBO Max dropped, I saw in the theater, except for No Sudden Move and Little Things. I watched those on HBO Max, but only because and I was like didn't have the time. But and then the last thing on my list is a movie that technically is already out but not playing anywhere, which is Cyrano. I want to see this goddamn movie already.
Agreed.
This movie.
Damn, I did have that on my list, I thought, but I forgot to mention it. Yes.
Dinklage as
I need to see it. I just need to.
Didn't Steve Martin do one in the 80s?
Yeah,
Roxanne. It's a great adaptation. Still holds up.
Yeah, Roxanne's fantastic.
Beautiful. Yep. Yeah. So that's my shames.
All right. So that's quite a list. Very varied. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Mr. Bennett?
Okay, so like Randy, I also have a Disney movie that I missed out on. Well, besides Luke, I have Luke on here, which we already discussed. Encanto.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's on Disney Plus. I remember my sister and nephew were watching it, but I didn't get a chance to sit down and watch it with them. And then this one was kind of a big deal. I mean, these two were kind of a big deal for me as a horror fan. The Fear Street trilogy on Netflix. Because especially R.L. Stein, he was my gateway to horror as a child. Saint Maud, Belfast.
Oh yes.
Tick Tick Boom.
Yep.
And House of Gucci.
Wow. Good ones right there.
Gucci.
Saint Maud's definitely one that I wanted to see and did not. The Fear trilogy. I think I watched the first one and I was like, meh.
Really?
So you have no idea why there's all these people. You have no idea why there's all these people not talking about Bruno. You're like, I don't know who Bruno is. Why won't people stop not talking about Bruno?
We don't talk about Bruno.
Encanto, I feel like Encanto was a very formulaic movie. I felt like there was certainly some great parts. I know. I knew Rachel was going to be like,
I'm just like, tell me more.
It was like, oh, Coco did well. Check. Break in the Family. Check. Oh, Mysterious Help. Check. It just felt very like A plus B equals C.
It feel a little
It's
familiar.
definitely my least favorite Disney movie in the last decade.
Right, but the animation,
but like animated Disney film,
you wouldn't expect less from Disney.
It looks beautiful. I'm
not saying I didn't like it. I did like it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I like the Bruno song.
Compared to like Raya and the Last Dragon, compared to like
Frozen.
Okay, I'm sorry. Frozen 2 is my least favorite movie of the Disney movie, but
calling my niece on you.
As far as Disney's been putting out a lot of really great films.
It's interesting too. It's interesting with Disney though, because I'm sorry to cut you off, Matt. But like after watching that too, it's interesting how Disney is looking more and more like Pixar movies to the point where I think people are getting confused as to what is a Disney and what is a Pixar. So I'm just curious if one day like they're gonna make that leap and just be one company. Pixar is gonna just be Disney animation and that's it. And because like I don't know what this means for Disney is because it's not like I feel like as Disney is making more Pixar-esque movies, then it's increasing their brand, but in a way it's diluting Pixar. So like, what does this all mean? Is there going to be a big change? I'm at least glad
that Bob's Burgers is coming out, and it's the first 2D Disney movie.
Oh, it's a Disney movie?
Because
Disney was 20th Century Fox, right?
That's right. Yeah,
oh my because it popped up on my Disney movie rewards as a like you can submit once the movie's live, you can submit your tickets here for your points. Yeah. And I was like, yes.
So excited. All right. I saw the trailer finally. Been waiting for the trailer, and then we saw because I took my kids to go see Jackass, of course. Which it's one of those things where I'm like watching it with them, like, is this a giant mistake? Because there's so much penis in the movie, but like they had a great time. But they showed the Bob's Burgers trailer, and I was so happy to finally see it.
That's awesome. I need to revisit that show.
Same here.
So good. All right, Mr. Bennett. Anything else?
That's it. I'll admit this. I'll admit because I did not see this. It is not even on my. It was not a priority for me. I did not see West Side Story. I don't know. I'm just not like big on. I'm not. I mean, even though Tick Tick Boom's on my list, I'm otherwise like not big on musicals.
I'm the same, but like I told Rachel last week that this was the year that I finally like musicals finally got me.
Right.
There were so many good musicals this year that I'm kind of like, all right, I could get into this. So
I think I'm with you.
I even saw the original West Side Story on the big screen this year. So
it was a definite year. Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda especially.
I mean,
this was his year.
He did like 7 things this year. So
and didn't the televised Hamilton come when that streaming?
It was
Disney Plus.
That was 2020 because literally in the midst of the pandemic, they said, "Hey, we know that everything sucks. July 4th, we're gonna drop Hamilton on Disney Plus."
That's right.
That was awesome. That was kind of like the spark almost of this boom that we have. So that's awesome. All right, guys. So, sorry, Chris, Shameless?
Yeah, sure. I can go quick. I mean, there's certainly a ton of movies I didn't see. I gotta say last year was just a bad year in general for me. And actually you were mentioning about accessibility, Eric. It's great to have like all this coming same day, but I feel like it's only great for the bigger studio movies. But for these mid-tier to low-tier, low-budget movies, it's really still hard. You know, like if A24 had their own streaming service, I would pay good money for that.
I absolutely agree.
I saw as many A24 movies in the theater as possible this year.
Yeah, it's tough. That's great. No,
Green Knight, I saw Green Knight in theaters.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, so like there's a ton that I didn't see, but these I feel like would have been on my top 10 list. Come on, loved Beginners, love that movie. Red Rocket, I didn't get the chance to see.
Yes.
Been loving Sean Baker or Barker movies. I just saw The Florida Project. It's great. P.T. Anderson, Licorice Pizza, I didn't get the chance to see, and House of Gucci, I didn't get to see.
Oh man,
Gucci.
Hey,
bobbity boobity.
Quite a list, sir. Quite a list.
Yeah.
All right. So we're moving right along. I think this is sort of the halfway point. So I think now we're going to get into honorable mentions, and it was such a great year for film. So I had all of the. I could not.
I couldn't narrow it down to just like 5 or 10.
I eliminated a lot of the movies that you guys had on your either honorable mentions or top 10s because my initial list was like 35 movies. So
yep. So I'm just going to go through them quick, and we could talk about the ones we haven't talked about already. First off, this is the bottom of the list, but it's still a quality film. The animated sci-fi action comedy, Mitchell's versus Machines. And
Great movie.
yeah,
Fantastic.
I know, Rachel, I think you recommended this movie that we review it on the show.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, it was from I think Lord and Miller, who did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was phenomenal. And he kind of just extended it to this. They always like change their style visually.
Yeah.
Guessing, you know, and it's really cool.
I've seen this movie at least 3 times already this year. So I think this is probably the movie I've seen the most that came out this year. But yet I did not put it on my top 10.
That's weird.
But it is. It's the only movie I saw more than any Marvel movie this year.
In theaters?
No, I didn't see it at all in theater, but
okay.
I watched because I don't think it got a theater release. It was Netflix exclusive.
Yeah, it was a Netflix exclusive because it was originally going to be a theatrical release, but then Netflix acquired it after their release at the pandemic. They canceled their release date and announced shortly after they were getting acquired by Netflix.
That's right.
The one thing that I'll say about this movie is that it's obvious why like this movie speaks to me, because it's about someone that's wanting to go to film school, obsessed with obscure movies, and has a dad that loves the outdoors and loves moose, which it's like check.
Right up your.
It also has a very photogenic dog.
Oh, what's his name again?
Oh, the dog from the movie. Oh,
I don't remember what he is in the movie.
Oh my god, because it's played by Doug the Pug. Oh goodness.
It's fine. Well, it's a great film. It's just visually it's fantastic, and it's very smart and funny, and it's got a great ensemble voice cast. So that's
it does.
Next up, we've already mentioned this already. Let's see here. Tick, Tick, Boom. And Andrew Garfield gave probably the best performance of his career so far. And was it Jonathan Larson, the playwright?
Munchie.
A heartbreaking true story of this, basically his life and bringing his art to the masses. It's just a really well-made film. I think that's also on Netflix. So yeah, all right. Here's one that you guys, I don't think it's on anyone else's list. And Chris, I think you may have appreciated this film. It's called Here Today.
Yeah.
And you as well, sir.
Yeah.
We've got an aging Billy Crystal who has I think it's Parkinson or dementia.
Yeah, it's dementia.
Yeah, it's nothing good. And basically he randomly befriends Tiffany Haddish's character, very unlikely duo. They kind of form this like non-romantic love. It's a really nice friendship.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at how good it was.
It was, and it's like, it was, written by Alan Zweibel, who's one of my favorite writers, original Saturday Night Live cast, wrote a lot of the stuff, like, like Samurai Deli and all that stuff. Like, he wrote like, everything Gilda Radner did. And he also wrote North, which everybody hates. But especially Rob Ebert.
That's on my shame list, by the way.
But it's funny because I all I knew about the movie when I went to see it was that it was Billy Crystal and Alan Zweibel wrote it, and I was like, oh, good, I need a laugh. Tiffany Haddish said it was going to be great, and it was it was sad, and it made me cry.
Yeah,
and it's an absolutely beautiful movie.
It is,
and I haven't seen Billy Crystal like really. I mean, sadly, I don't see him enough. I mean,
I can't remember anything he's done outside of like the Monster
franchise.
Inc.
Yeah,
that's true. But like live
action wise,
analyze this and that.
Yeah,
but that was those were over 20 years ago.
I know, but have you seen him in anything else since then? Live action.
But it was so nice to see him.
My Giant.
Top of his game.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, comedians.
I didn't see that. Oh,
but
okay, cool.
But
I love that as well. I thought it really played the heartstrings. It dementia, Alzheimer's is something that is a dear subject to me, and I think they played it very well, especially the onset. And I think it was good. I think it was it played. There's a type of movie where I think it's meant for a type of audience, and I compare this to like the tender bar, where it almost has that checkbox feeling, but it's a little bit better than that. And I feel like it's a nice solid movie. So totally recommend it. Yeah.
I mean, if I hear Billy Crystal is involved with a project coming up, I have to see it because he's one of my favorite actors / comedians. So I had to include this on the list because of that.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right, that's called Here Today, guys. So whoever's watching this, check that out. Actually, check out all the movies we've been mentioning for tonight.
Yeah.
So some really
Not
great
just for Billy Crystal.
Yes. Or
even Tom and Jerry.
No, you can skip that one.
Run out, kids. Go see Tom.
It wasn't really
Playtime
him.
scene.
I know. Or was
It was.
And Woman in the Window.
We'll get that in the.
I got that. I gotta get the picture.
You should get it as a wallpaper on your phone.
I know, right?
All right. All right. So next up, Tragedy of Macbeth, which was visually amazing. You got Denzel, you've got Frances McDormand, basically in the retelling of Shakespeare's classic play, and really, Joel Cohen. It's Joel. I think it was Joel Cohen.
It was just Joel.
Just Joel who directed, and he doesn't need his brother.
So weird that we got just Joel and just Lana movie this year.
Easy. That's a bold statement.
Well, just like we just got a Peter Farrelly movie a couple years ago.
That's funny.
So
The best Cohen movie ever made is literally about them asking themselves if they can make movies without the other person of Llewyn Davis. What if one of us dies? Can we continue to make movies? And if Llewyn Davis is anything, their answer is no. No, they can't.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's funny, guys, because this is a little sneak peek because I want to do a Coen Brothers either commentary or a retrospective discussing the brilliant brothers.
So many
films. It'll probably be a retrospective. We'll see what happens.
So
Sign
many
me
good
up for Llewyn
films.
Davis.
And then there's Intolerable Cruelty. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you mean then there was Lady Killers, which was
I mean, I don't think Lady Killers is terrible. It's definitely at the bottom of my list of Coen Brothers movies.
Yeah,
but
it's fine when it's on. I like to keep it on.
Yeah, it's the thing that just bums me out because it's like a remake, and I don't think like auteur directors should do fucking remakes.
True Grit. I like True Grit though.
I was gonna say then they do True Grit and they were like, never mind, let them do remakes.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're talking about one of the biggest directors of all time doing a remake that is on most people's list tonight.
Right, West Side Story. Yep. That's a good point.
With West Side Story.
I was a little iffy at first.
Well, that's exactly. Yeah. I mean, that track record is why when I first heard Spielberg was doing West Side Story, I'm like, why bother?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, well, he's actually going to be making a Western next. He's like checking off the stuff that he hasn't made.
Yeah, he's got his bucket list.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, he's a billionaire. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
I mean, David Lynch just signed on to be an actor in his movie.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, guys, we still got a lot to go through.
Yeah.
We've got a movie which I don't think is any on your list either. It's called The Novice, which actually was it premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival last year.
Did I see this movie? Who's in it?
It's a young girl. I think she was in The Orphan, and she basically plays a college student who's like very ambitious. She joins a rowing team, I believe, and it gets a little dark. It's a little intense. It's basically succeeding at all costs. It's
Social Network.
I was just literally
it's Social Network, but ladies. But it's Lady Network
and a little bloody. It's a little. I believe there's some gore, or at least psychological blood.
Are there two Channing?
Black Swan.
No Channing. No.
Isn't there a swimmer who is obsessed over like her coach or something?
Swim fan.
Oh,
there we go. You're describing. I'm like, that sounds a lot like swim fan.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of?
You're thinking
not Whitford.
No. Renfro.
No, that's
no.
He was in The Client.
Brad.
We're trying to figure out who was in this movie.
Bradley.
We know it's a Bradley.
If there was only a website that listed the cast.
My great grandfather, actually.
Wow.
I gotta look this guy up, but we'll say that for after the show. All right. So guys, but The Novice, really good, really intense thriller. I really recommend it.
Cool.
It got some accolades at the Tribeca Film Festival, so check it out. All right, next up, Rachel, you're gonna be happy about this one. Dear Evan Hansen, which was
Okay.
it was just a very, very sweet, well acted. I think it made me a little misty, as did Ghostbusters.
It was a sweet film.
Yeah.
As long as you could believe that like a 50-year-old man was a high school student.
How do you do,
I'm actually
It's funny because I've never seen the dude in anything before, but the day before the movie, I saw the movie in the theater. Seth Meyers not Seth Meyers. What's his face from The Office? The guy.
John Krasinski.
No,
What, Dwight?
No, the temp. Ryan.
Oh, BJ Novak.
BJ Novak had that show on Hulu, and the guy from Dear Evan Hansen was in the episode.
Like this is charades. 5 words.
Yeah. Exactly. So the day before I saw Dear Evan Hansen, I saw this episode of The Premise, which is a BJ Novak show on Hulu, in which the whole thing revolves around the guy who plays Evan Hansen with a beard, and he basically videotapes himself having sex, and like this is like my first seeing this guy ever, and then seeing Evan Hansen right after it. So I'm just like, this guy is
not a good lead in.
I will say, he's actually pretty good, and there's a Ryan Murphy show that he's in on Netflix.
Politician.
The Politician, yeah, he's actually pretty good in it.
And
The show's
I like
all
him.
over the place as much Ryan Murphy stuff is.
Good. Like it's like, did I believe he was a high school student? No, but I liked him.
Okay.
Well, I'll defend Randy's choice here, because the thing is, I am a huge fan of the musical. I really like the music a lot, and the problem was Ben Platt really made that show on Broadway. So it's like, if you're going to do the movie, everybody wants to see his performance, and it's like, yes, he's much older, so it's kind of you're damned if you do, or you're damned if you don't. So it's like, let's just do the best we can to make him look young, because everyone's here to see Ben Platt Dear Evan Hansen. And I think the problem was, I was like, oh, this is a great musical adaptation. And then came In the Heights, and then came Tick, Tick, Boom, and then came West Side Story. And it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Dear Evan Hansen. Literally, you got overshadowed by the year where everybody's like, here's how you do musicals on the big screen again.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say Dear Evan Hansen is probably the first musical of the year that I really enjoyed.
It was good.
And then, I forgot about it when I saw like 12 others.
Exactly. See, I think it got overshadowed. Yeah.
Did we see this in theater? We saw this together, right?
Yes, we went to a screen together because we reviewed it that week.
That was I think this was one of the first screenings that I went back to, like a press screening.
Yep.
And that was really nice, a nice thing. So yeah, I thought Ben Platt did a great job. So did Julie Moore. Everybody else in the cast was fantastic.
And the who played the sister, she was fantastic. From Booksmart.
From Booksmart. And
she was great.
Yeah, I absolutely love her.
Nice.
She's been in like so many movies, and she was in Dope Sick, which she was fantastic in as well. I'm a big fan.
Cool. All right, guys. So yeah, Dear Evan Hansen, it was just a very charming film. A little depressing, but kind of hopeful too. So decent film. Here's a guilty pleasure of mine, The Suicide Squad.
This was actually one of my top 10.
Top 10? Nice.
It's on my top 10 as well.
It's one of those things where I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah.
I couldn't put it in my top 10 because it's still, like, even though it was James Gunn, it still felt messy to me. It still had that DC mess, but it was still a lot of fun. But I gotta say, Peacemaker is by far better than Suicide Squad. I still love Suicide Squad. I thought it was great.
Yeah. And we're gonna be reviewing when the last episode drops of Peacemaker. I
want to get on.
Insanely good. I can't wait for whatever else.
Do we have to learn the dance?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big DC. I'm a big DC fan. Trauma. So This for me was like so for me, Suicide Squad was the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and I love seeing Starro. That was really well done.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I know. I was like, everyone was like pissed off when it was Starro. I'm like, I can't believe
How
they
could you be
did Starro.
pissed?
This is amazing.
Nice. All right, guys. Let's keep going along here for the sake of time. Another guilty pleasure of mine, Jungle Cruise.
Didn't see it.
Which I was
It was
surprised.
fun.
So much fun.
So
It's
fun,
fun.
right?
It's
Same,
fun.
same surprise, straight out of left field.
It's fun.
We got like our next generation Indiana Jones
I
movie.
think so, yeah. Or at least a Steven Sommers film.
Yeah,
Mummy
it
style, yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and Emily Blunt, fantastic chemistry, fun adventure. I could have done without the conquistador zombies and just stuck with the German guy played by Jesse
Plemons was too good, and he needed to be more.
I just love that Jesse Plemons. It's like, oh, that guy will literally be in anything and he'll kill it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, movie needed more Paul Giamatti.
True.
Yeah.
Always needs more Paul Giamatti.
Yes.
Same thing happened with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was in it for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Not even. It's very sad.
You didn't see a No Way Home where the portal opened. And he's like, Spider-Man! Why'd you leave me out?
I fought a guy in a robotic rhino suit. Awesome.
That's what the end credit should have been for No Way Home.
Yeah.
It's like, we only fought 5 people. There should have been a Sinister 6, and out comes Giamatti in a rhino suit.
Oh, my God.
That would have been perfect, I think. But Chris, have you showed your son's probably too young for Jungle Cruise, right?
We were watching it with him. Like he's still like, like long form movies is still like bit, too much for him. He's like into his like short YouTube clips, but
Nice.
we were watching bit by bit Jungle Cruise. He was into it. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fine. I wouldn't say it's an honorable for me, but it's
Maybe not
that's a little too high up the chain. But it was a fun movie, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a lesser Mummy.
Yep.
Yes.
Pretty much.
I
There's a throwback to that, yeah.
I will say my kids love Jungle Cruise, but who trusts their opinion? Because they also love Tom and Jerry and Space Jam. I mean, but they also love-
Kids.
1 out of 3 ain't too bad.
It's very unpredictable with your kids. All right, guys. So a few more here. Here's one that I think I reviewed with Rachel
And me.
and you. Sorry.
Yep.
It's called The Humans, based on
I think I was there from it too.
it felt real.
Yeah.
It didn't even feel like they were acting. They were just there.
Fantastic movie.
They were living, this scene. And Richard Jenkins, after seeing him again in Nightmare Alley, oh my God. And, And
oh
The Shape of,
God.
I saw The Shape of Water a few days
Oh
ago.
yeah.
He's
Mhm.
fantastic.
And the fact that it's filmed like a horror movie too, which I appreciated a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a horror film without horror. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I left
I mean,
off
there's plenty of horror. It's just coming from
my honorable
people.
mentions list because it was on yours. So
Okay.
I was like, all right.
All right.
But yeah, definitely a highlight of this year.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
so good. It just kind of fell right in there, and it's like very
Yeah.
unpredictable.
No, it was fantastic.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, Beanie Feldstein, is that the
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other
Oh,
person-
it's-
the other
Yeah,
person,
smart girl? Yeah.
uh,
Amy Schumer also.
oh yeah.
Stephen Yeun.
Yeah.
Jane Houdyshell.
Who showed me.
Awesome. So yeah, again, everybody watching, check that one out, The Humans.
Mhm.
And here's one we've already discussed. We didn't really talk about it in much detail. We discussed it last week on the show, actually.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
Red Rocket.
Red Rocket, ladies and gentlemen, and
Loved it.
another one that came out of left field, like
Can't wait.
Simon Rex. Yeah, I thought the performances were amazing, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's just a great film overall. I love the story. I definitely have to get into Sean Baker's previous stuff. I have to rewatch the Florida Project.
Yeah. it's
Yes,
Yeah,
always.
it's so good.
so good.
Nice. All right.
Tangerine. Yeah.
All right, next up. Oh, here's one we haven't mentioned yet. And I think a few of you might have expressed interest in this as
I
well.
left this one off my
did?
honorable mentions list as
Because
well.
of me?
Because of you.
Oh man, well, thank you. But here we are sharing it.
Yes.
We've got King Richard, which is the Will Smith film. True story
So good.
of.
Did you forget about King Richard?
I briefly forgot about it. Oh no.
Yes, it's a great story. It's on HBO Max right now, and it tells the story of Venus and Serena Williams' dad, who basically, I guess he sort of pushes them into a life of tennis at a young age, and becomes
very much encourages. Yeah.
Tennis.
Yeah, like he mapped out their whole lives before they were born, pretty much.
Yeah. And Will Smith's performance is just one of the best.
Yeah, his performance was up there for me. I was debating if it was either him or someone else we're going to mention.
Same for me too. Like it was Will Smith or someone else.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just right under my number one.
Yeah.
Totally agreed.
It was great.
Just a really heartwarming, heartbreaking story, and it's a true story too. And I don't know, do any of you know if the real Richard, was he like impressed by the performance? Did he?
According to the people who knew him as well, especially because even the Serena, the Williams sisters themselves, were very adamant about it being focused on him.
They said this is the way that we'll do the story. Like we will do a movie about it, but it needs to be this story.
The coach that John Bernthal plays in the movie, their coach, in an interview I read, he was just like, yeah, that was exactly what it was like dealing with him. He's like, every hair pulling moment, that is exactly what it was like.
I looked up clips of him, like his interviews and stuff, and they show some in the credits. But it's like Will Smith did such a good job.
Yeah.
Like the mannerisms, like
you believed it.
Enunciations. That it's like he really had it down. He did his homework for this part, and
his best role since Wild Wild West. No, I'm kidding.
I was also going to say the fact that John Bernthal has been such a tough guy of late, and then here he is, like, hey, come on, these sisters need to play tennis. Come on. It's like, that's John Bernthal.
He was perfect. He might be nominated for a few, maybe a supporting Oscar. I could see that.
Bernthal was so good.
Great,
he was so good. Yeah.
So that's cool. All right. So yeah, I think it might still be on HBO Max. I'm not positive on that, but King Richard's awesome.
I'll have Matt find out later.
Yeah. This one we touched on the Tender Bar. Chris, I know you're a big fan of this one.
I'm lukewarm.
Really?
I think we reviewed it together. I like it. I didn't love it, but I think it hits the sweet spot for a lot of people, and it's a solid film. I had some issues with the characters, the love interest. I felt like it just meandered towards the end, but I enjoyed Ben Affleck. I think last year my favorite film was The Way Back with Ben Affleck, and I think this was also a good performance. I think that's why I didn't like too. The ending felt very much like Good Will Hunting, with the the inspirational, like, you get out of this town and you go to Yale, you go to just substitute that with a guy going to Harvard or
it's the ending of Harry and the Hendersons. Get out of here, you get out of here. Go.
It's Matt Damon throwing rocks at him.
Get out of here, man.
Right. Yeah, but no, I have no problems with it. It just it was kind of like, out of all the movies I saw last year, it was like right in the middle.
Well, I did like how authentic it felt. Like it felt like the 70s and 80s, and it was like also the lighting was very orange, so it sort of felt 70s.
Yeah, and it was also local to me. So
also me too, because it's set in the town where I was born.
It was like kind of that was the kind of thing that like turned me onto the film more. I was like, I just thought that was like an interesting thing. I was like,
and then George Clooney directed. Like he's I think I mentioned before, like when he acts, like he's usually my go-to guy. I loved Midnight Sky, so I was really anticipating that film, and I was a little bit disappointed, but overall okay with it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. All right, The Tender Bar. I think it's still on Amazon Prime. So and I've got
another Affleck.
Right after.
I was like two Ridley Scott movies.
Two Ridley Scott movies.
Double the Affleck, double the Scott.
This was a big year for Mr. Scott. We've got The Last Duel, medieval action adventure / thriller
/ drama / comedy.
It's a weird one
when you look at their haircuts
/ courtroom drama.
And Affleck just really has a great time making fun of Matt Damon in this film.
Yeah.
Like, he loves shitting on Matt Damon. It's great.
But you know what?
I wonder where he pulled that performance from.
Yeah. The action scenes was definitely reminding me of Gladiator.
The last duel, and that is
the joust.
The joust, is so intense.
Yep.
I was literally like, oh.
Ridley knows how to make intense when it comes to people in giant armor banging up against each other.
Yeah.
Ridley makes it look good.
I was making so many loud noises in the theater. I was like, go! So,
it was, you got to see it on the big screen.
It was intense.
Yeah, no,
and loud and wonderful.
But yeah, the last duel was just fantastic direction from Scott. I was really impressed. Same with House of Gucci.
Yeah, he had a great year.
Yeah.
I mean, he came back from his complaining that millennials didn't see his movie, cell phones or whatever, and then superhero movies. I don't know, whatever he was complaining about. To then people talking about his other movie like next week. So
yeah. Well, he's back with a vengeance. Baby.
Yeah, it only took him three minutes.
Yeah,
to come back from.
Yeah, and next he's gonna be making a Napoleon biopic movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, looking forward to that.
I wonder what Adam Driver's gonna be in it.
You know who's starring?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, Joaquin as Napoleon is too tall.
Yeah, I was a little too tall, for much Napoleon, isn't he?
They were.
I'm sure camera angles can fix that.
Wasn't there an
if hobbits can exist on film, we can make Napoleon.
Right. I think next year is going to be.
Yeah.
Next year is going to be the year of the biopics, or 2023. Between that and Nolan's going to be doing Oppenheimer with.
Oh, that's right. I've heard about that. Yeah.
What's that guy's name?
I'm trying to remember who's in it.
He's in all of his movies. He's in he played the Scarecrow in
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, or is it Killian?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's Cillian Murphy.
Killian.
Yeah. Yeah. But
yeah, Cillian Murphy.
Yeah. Last year was the year of the musical. Then it's going to be the year of the biopic.
Perfect. Cool. All right. So yeah, the last duel, House of Gucci, Ridley Scott double feature.
I mean, it was great to see two fantastic films for him in the same year theatrically.
Cool.
It was nice.
Yeah,
I not to be I feel like I'm the Armin White of this group. I guess. Yeah, I did not like The Last Duel. There was some great parts to it. I really enjoyed the intense last part, but I felt like the editing it was really choppy for me, and I felt like it was just very inconsistent across the board. I really had a hard time getting into it.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
But something that was worth noting, I think Scott used the same cinematographer because both movies had this like bluish, grayish tint.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Directors usually do. Yeah.
So
Gaga makes the difference, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like Robert Zemeckis using the same crew from Roger Rabbit for Back to the Future 2. Kind of looks the same. But all right. So that's my honorable mentions, guys. So,
oh, that's it.
That's yes. Well, it's good that I mentioned them now because now you can all condense your list mentally.
Right.
So yeah, basically all the movies I just mentioned on my honorable mentions. I'm sure most of them or some of them are on your list, guys. But ladies first, Rachel, take it away.
Okay, so my honorable mentions, I'm going to leave a few off that we've discussed already at length, but Don't Look Up is on my honorable list, did not make my top 10. I liked it quite a bit. There were a lot of things going on in it that I appreciated, especially concerning Jennifer Lawrence's character and a lot of the tone placing going on with the fact that she's trying to tell everybody that the world's ending and everyone's like, but you look so ugly while you're doing it. And why do you have to be so shrill about it? Like that's their takeaway from it is just maddening and way too real. But the editing just took me out of the movie a lot. I thought that it was really poorly edited at times. Which again is kind of an ongoing issue I have with Adam McKay as a filmmaker. I don't know who his editor is, but it's not great. Power of the Dog is also on my honorable mentions list. This is a movie that I see everybody putting on their top 10 list, and there's a lot that I admire about it, but I don't love it the way that a lot of other people are loving it.
I'm sorry. Which one is it? I'm sorry.
The Power of the Dog.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see.
Were you disappointed that there wasn't a dog?
It's like when I went to drive and they didn't drive
power and there was no dog.
Not enough dogs.
Where was that power dog?
No, like the thing is, I feel like there was a lot of surprise, especially about the ending to it, and I feel like I was the only person that was not surprised by that ending. That I went, yeah, that's where things were heading. A went to B, went to C, went to G. Like it's like, okay, yeah, that's, I mean, it's shocking. Like, I mean, like it's like oh wow, they actually went for it, but I guess I wasn't as surprised by it. But the performances were great, beautifully shot, just did not connect me as much as some of the other movies on my list. Also, I'm gonna give a shout out to Flora and Ulysses on Disney Plus. I thought it was an adorable little movie, wonderful book that it's based on, and I think it kind of got a little bit overlooked.
I loved
but
it. So much fun.
Definitely a solid family movie. Very good. Pig is also on my honorable mentions. It did not quite make the cut, but I very much appreciate it as a baker in training. So very enjoyable.
Nice.
And I think other major one that I have on my honorable mentions list is Being the Ricardos. I liked it quite a bit. I thought the performances were great. I think Aaron Sorkin's writing is pretty good, but I still think that he needed a female co-writer on this, because there's just certain parts of it that I think he didn't quite get right.
Also, because in the movie, he one of the characters mentions showrunner, and showrunner wasn't even a term back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the last one that I'll give a quick shout out to is House of Gucci, because I had such a great time seeing this movie in the theaters. It's really it's like a nail biter, so close, the fact that it's not in my top list of the year. I think I was guffawing in the back of this theater watching it. Like it was my birthday outing. I got to pick what we did that night. We went to Red Robin and we went to see House of Gucci, and it was a great
what an
night.
evening. What a beautiful evening.
The famous Italian restaurant, Red Robin.
Yes, Red Robin.
Why don't you go to Olive Garden? Hey.
So
We don't
I
want to be
think
too on the
there
nose.
is an Olive Garden like right down the street from it, so we probably could have. But I also want to see a spin-off movie with Jared Leto and Al Pacino's character from that. That's like a Grey Garden style mockumentary of the two of them after the events of the movie. Just fantastic.
Funny.
Two actors that I'm not crazy about, who I absolutely loved in this film.
I love Jeremy Irons' performance.
Oh, Irons is great too. I mean, but Irons is always great. Like, whereas like I feel like Pacino was great in the 70s. After the 70s, meh.
Someone hasn't seen Hunters.
I mean, he has a few.
1992. You got Glengarry,
Glenn
you got
Ross,
Son of a Woman,
yeah.
Oscar win.
Yeah,
But then not much really.
But yeah, and
Heat.
like I prefer,
Yes.
for his 70s.
Yeah, of course.
But
Gotta mention Heat if we're talking great Pacino performances.
Love Heat.
What was the Adam Sandler movie?
Are you
Jack
thinking
and
of
Jill.
Nicholson? No.
No, Jack and Jill. Pacino was
Jack
in
and
it.
Jill. Jack and Jill.
He's just poking fun at himself.
His little donut song and dance.
Oh boy.
Like I said, clearly you need to watch the first season of Hunters to get some good Pacino.
Actually, that is on my shame list of why haven't I watched that already? I don't know why I haven't.
You'll
very forward to it, and just never watched it.
It's great.
yeah, and Pacino is fantastic.
Maybe I'll do that this week. Once I finish Ozark, I have one episode left, and I'm caught up. Maybe I'll watch Hunters next.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm calling it. That's my honorable mentions. I also have Spider-Man on there, but I assume we're going to be talking about it. So,
Is there anything to talk about with Spider?
oh goodness.
We did our full review a few weeks ago, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
half my honorable mentions I've just eliminated because you just mentioned a bunch. You just mentioned a bunch, so
Yeah. Eric, what do you got, sir?
I'll keep it quick as well. I had House of Gucci as well because I loved it, but just barely not making cut, and less Jared Leto in that movie.
So far, at least the first four of us.
Yeah, it's like I
didn't put it on the list.
I fought for Gucci on my top 10.
Yeah,
but I just couldn't.
It kept edging it out every time. I kept seeing more movies, and I kept edging it out.
Exactly, it's just like, oh, Gucci, come back.
Come back.
I'm gonna call it the Marvel trilogy because weirdly enough, as much as I'm a Marvel boy, and I put a superhero movie on my top 10, it wasn't out of the Marvel trilogy, which was Spider-Man, Eternals, and Shang-Chi. Which I thought Shang-Chi was probably the strong for me, weirdly enough, as much as I loved Spider-Man. Shang-Chi was probably the strongest of the three for me. Because it's like, wow, that's how you do an origin, plus one of the best villains Marvel's introduced in a long time. And so that's the Marvel trilogy there. In the Heights, because I wanted In the Heights so badly, but not quite. And
wow, you're
also,
really championing the underdogs.
And then one that I really wanted on there but couldn't was Green Knight. I loved it. I just saw it yesterday, and I'm like, David Lowery continues to do no wrong with me. I loved his deconstruction of Arthurian tales here, but just barely missed it. So, but I loved Green Knight, and that ending especially just nailed it. And then Encanto and Being the Ricardos, and that is my honorable mentions.
Very nice.
Thanks. A lot of those are mine as well. Started off two documentaries. I usually keep documentaries off my list. But I had three this year that I had to put on my list. Honorable mentions. One of them I'm not going to talk about until later because it's on Randy's top 10. But one is Being Summer of Soul. It came out on Hulu, and it is this spectacular concert from the 70s. And I watched it on Hulu, immediately ran to see it in the theater so I could experience it on the big screen. It's the performances in it are just stellar, and the fact that this was lost for 40 years is like insane, and that people didn't even know about this festival. And it's a really beautiful. If you're into like soul music, funk music, gospel, definitely it's a must see. I mean, Seinfeld.
How do you compare it to the Beatles series?
Oh yeah. I totally.
Like, how do you compare? I really enjoyed Get Back, but like, is it? Would you say it's better? Is it comparable, or?
Yeah, I mean, the Beatles thing is. I mean, it might have made my list had I really considered it a film.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could watch days of studio footage. I love that stuff.
Cool.
But and then the Sparks Brothers, which
that was so good.
Absolutely love Edgar Wright, and I love the Sparks. And when I found out they were doing a Sparks documentary, I was like, that's amazing. And then when I found out Edgar Wright was directing, I'm like, that is double amazing. And the movie, it was fantastic. It's one of those things, I think, even if you're not a fan of the band, if you've never even heard of the band before, you'll probably still enjoy it because they're just a fascinating group.
I had no idea who they even were. I heard about them. I saw Annette, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I saw this documentary, like, whoa.
Yeah.
And they've been around for like 40 something years.
Yep. I have tickets to go see them in March.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
and they're still.
I've been, they've been on my list of bands to see for a long time, and I just never got around to it. And this year, I'm like, you know what? After seeing the documentary, I'm like, I have to do it. They announced their tour dates, and I jumped on the chance.
And they're American, and they don't really have a genre, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're just. I mean, they changed like every decade, like
so
like cool. A lot of bands evolve into different genres, but they started so many like trends, but they're so highly influential, and yet like nobody knows them.
I saw it in preparation for Last Night in Soho.
Oh yeah.
Edward Wright.
Yeah, I went to go see it at the Alamo, and it was my first time being at Alamo in like forever. So it was a great experience.
Where are you seeing them?
Town Hall, which is a great venue. Then my next on the list is the Card Counter. I mean,
did we review that together?
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yep.
I liked it.
I haven't seen it. Wanted to see that though. Yeah.
It was good, but I wouldn't say it was Paul Schrader's best.
Yeah.
One of Oscar Isaac's best. I mean,
Yeah.
it was one of his best, not his very best.
Yeah, no, I mean it's like it was just a great like ensemble.
Tiffany Haddish
is fantastic.
Right.
I loved seeing her do something more serious. But it's not a movie that didn't quite hit my top 10, but
doesn't have the Taxi Driver vibe.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of my favorite Schrader movies in the last few years.
Okay.
But it was just nice. It was a good movie to go see on the big screen. Visually, the cinematography I loved. Then we have Nobody. This movie was just a heap of fun. I mean, Bob Odenkirk is my man. Love the guy from the get-go. Back from the Ben Stiller show when I used to watch that. Larry Sanders. When he was a writer and Saturday Night Live and appear in the sketches.
Or was it Mr. Show with
Mr. Show, Bob and David? Yep.
David Cross.
Longtime fan, and he truly delivered a great performance in a weird comedic action film, especially that he tag teamed with RZA and Christopher Lloyd in a giant fight out scene, which I truly loved.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of fun. This was one of the first movies to come out when theaters reopened, and it was like a big hug. It was the theater saying "Welcome back." It was. I had seen Promising Young Woman, before that, but which was my favorite movie of last year. Was I think my first movie back or close to it, but yeah, seeing Nobody, it was like you felt home. The theater was back. It was great to have one of those like.
You walked into the theater and you literally saw Nicole Kidman in the front row filming her promos for talking about returning to the movies.
She told me that like even sadness was happiness there or whatever on the big silver screen. But yeah, I loved it and it was great. And then the final number on my honorable mentions list was Together. Which we reviewed for the show. James McAvoy. I pretty much did not think I would like any movie that was based around COVID. Any quarantine films. I really was like, this is going to be one of those things that billions of people make shitty movies about, and they're all going to be terrible. I really enjoyed this one. Very dialogue heavy. And I mean, I love
felt like a play actually.
Yeah, it felt like a play.
Yeah.
I love things that are so dialogue heavy. Like we were talking about The Humans before. Like stuff like that is my bag. Like Aaron Sorkin style writing that isn't written by Aaron Sorkin. But I love Sorkin shows and everything too. But I just love talky stuff, and I'm a sucker for heavy rogues, and I just absolutely adored this film. I like it. Really just like got me in all the right places.
Cool.
And that's my honorable mentions.
I love it. You gotta check that one out.
Yeah.
All right. Out of breath. I'm
Paul Rudd
sweating.
All right. So my honorable mentions, I had to cross off a lot of stuff that we've already discussed.
Yes.
including and one that I don't know if I should discuss because it was on. I saw it was on Randy's top 10 list.
Okay, yeah, leave that out.
Okay, in that case, I'll save it for when we get to our top 10s. Well, my first one is a documentary called Sam and Maddie Make a Zombie Movie about these two young men with Down syndrome from Rhode Island who set out to make a short zombie film.
Sounds good.
It was really good. It was good, like a nice feel good documentary. It's definitely one that
I gotta see that.
Yeah, it sounds good.
And especially if like you're any aspiring filmmaker wants definitely one of those ones I would recommend to aspiring filmmakers and horror fans and whatnot. But yeah, they set out to make this zombie movie. They make it.
Is it a mockumentary? Or is it a real?
It's a real documentary.
It sounds like Sam Raimi and Robert Tapert, in their quest to make Evil Dead.
Yep. And then the next one I have is a British horror movie called Censor, which is set in the 1980s about a topic that's kind of a special interest to me is the video nasties. When the British Board of Film Classification was cracking down on violent horror movies. Okay. And the plot involves a member of the British Board of Film Classification who sets out to find her missing sister while also cracking down on said violent horror movies, and ends up it's kind of a whole big like, is this reality or am I in a movie? It's kind of it's one of those mindfuck films.
Okay. Nice. I should see that as well.
Anything mindfuck is great.
Next up I have Marvel's Black Widow.
Okay.
This is, I think it was a pretty fun, solid Marvel movie. I feel like it should have come out they should have made it a few years earlier.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is going to be kind of this feels like a one and done thing.
Yeah.
You know how Marvel.
Yeah, I kind of left it off on my list because I was like, it's like, I loved it, but it's like also like, I feel like it should have been last year.
Yeah,
right.
Agreed.
But even after watching Hawkeye, this is so much worse.
Oh yeah.
Plus, also, but I would say Florence Pugh is a great addition to the Marvel.
Yeah, Yelena steals the movie.
I absolutely adore
Yes.
Yes.
So she was definitely the strong point of that movie for me.
Definitely.
Cruella, which was a movie that which was better than it had any right to be. I'm like,
agreed.
Yeah,
so it's like you've got this character whose whole shtick is wanting to kill animals to make a coat out of them. But it turns out, Emma Stone has a lot of fun with the role.
Perfect.
They flipped the script.
She saves it.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, Emma Stone's performance saves that entire movie.
Yep.
My kids loved it.
They did. Well, they loved.
We all win. We even my ex-wife and
oh wow,
our boyfriend. We all win as a family.
Okay.
Yep.
So it was the only time that it's ever happened.
Interesting. I would have probably liked it as a kid too.
Yeah.
The Green Knight. Yeah, it's great. Good solid Arthurian tale.
Yes.
Good old sword and
Dev
sorcery.
Patel is amazing in
Yes.
it. Great direction.
Love watching an Arthurian tale where the knight fails every challenge that he's given to him.
Next up was Godzilla versus Kong.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I've enjoyed so far. I've enjoyed these new Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
I have not seen the newest Kong movie, but
Skull Island was so good.
That was the
So
best.
good. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was I think
That was the best one.
That was the one that started it, right? Or was it?
No, Godzilla.
Oh yeah, but that was.
Yeah. No, Skull Island was so with Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson.
It's like a prequel.
Yeah, that kind of opened the door to like Monster Island or whatever.
Right.
It's Sam Jackson versus King Kong.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I love it. I actually got it digitally free from Warner Brothers.
Oh, really?
For doing surveys for them.
Oh.
And I watched it. Was like, this is amazing. I was at first I was like, man.
And a non-Loki Tom Hiddleston.
Yes.
He was great.
And a non-Captain Marvel Brie Larson.
Yep. And then next up I have North Hollywood, a coming of age skateboarding movie about this young man who he's torn between wanting to pursue his career as a professional skateboarder and but also doing also following the career path that his father has in mind. As far as name, it stars Vince Vaughn. And as far as the names of the movie, it stars Vince Vaughn and Miranda Cosgrove. Those are the two biggest names in the movie.
Okay.
It's from an indie studio called Illegal Civ. I thought it was really, it was, I like, I enjoy coming of age tales, plus like the cast. So, also if you like movies like mid-90s, I would definitely recommend it.
That was awesome. That was on my top 10, I think, of that year. I think it was 2019.
Actually, I would say if you like mid-90s or the King of Staten Island, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely in the vein of those. It's definitely in the vein of those.
King
movies.
of Staten, that's Davidson, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Next up, I have HBO Max's 8-Bit Christmas with Neil Patrick Harris.
That was awesome.
That was the funniest
not see that one.
I have seen in a long time, in a while.
I gotta see that. That's on my list of stuff to see this year. That from last
right.
year.
And it kind of does follow the whole Christmas story, like plot beat, like story beat kind of story beats, but it definitely has its own.
Yeah.
It takes its own twists and turns, and plus I think a movie about a kid wanting a Nintendo definitely would resonate with audiences more than a kid in the 40s wanting a BB gun.
Sounds a little like Jingle All the Way.
I would say it's definitely more. I would say it's definitely it's more. I would say it has more in common with Christmas Story,
Nice.
and then it's about an older man looking back on his childhood.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's
cool.
And then next up, I have Nia DaCosta's Candyman.
Oh yeah. A movie. It's like one of those things where like, oh, that came out this year. Like I totally like slipped my mind. Yeah.
I still have to watch the first 3 films.
You only need to watch.
I've only seen the first
Yeah.
one.
You really need to watch the first one to get this one.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen any of the sequels, but I definitely enjoyed the film. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. But it was still good.
Is it nostalgic? Is it like respectful to the original?
Yeah. I mean, it's actually a direct sequel to the original.
Oh, it is a sequel. Okay, that's
yes.
good. Okay, that was a reboot. A remake.
I mean, it's kind of the whole thing with horror movies where it's actually even though it sounds like the title suggests it's a sequel because they're using the same title as the original,
Right?
It's still a sequel.
Yeah, it's
like the new
Halloween.
Scream. Yeah,
Halloween or Scream, where what they call it in the Scream, prequels.
Requels, yeah. And then next up, I have this movie. Okay, it's a Shudder original film called Psycho Goreman.
Yes.
It's sort of a family horror movie. About this girl who summons this girl who befriends this monster. Who
coined that family horror movie.
Actually, I would say it's definitely I would say it's sort of like a cross between like Power Rangers and Gwar.
Yeah.
If any of you ever listen to Gwar, but this monster, and he does all these, he does her bidding, turning one kid into a giant brain.
Yeah.
It's kind of
it's
so silly, but it's so fun.
It's great. It's off the wall. I love it.
Yep. And then I think this one might actually be on some of you guys' top 10 lists. I just saw it today, Nightmare Alley.
Yeah,
I love Guillermo del Toro. He can
that
do
cast.
Yeah,
it was
cast
so
stacked
good
too.
Everything, cinematography. I mean, I'm also.
Yes.
I mean, we'll talk about it later, but I'm also like a sucker for anything freak show. Like
like
that era, a noir about freak shows. Oh my god!
Yes.
Could you hit a better cross section of things I love? Oh,
it was decent. Yeah. Not on my top 10, but we're going to mention it soon. All right. Thank you, Forrest. Very good. Very good. And lastly, honorable mentions for Mr. Chris Clementi.
Sure. I'll go fast. One that wasn't mentioned so far, Reminiscent. Really enjoyed that one. I think as far as modern day sci-fi movies, it could have been very bloated and it could have gone all over the place, but I think they did a good job at condensing it, and it's really entertaining. Shang-Chi, really enjoyed that one. I thought it was just a great standalone Marvel film. And
agreed.
Yeah, it was really good. Cruella, as mentioned, not a huge fan of the live Disney movies that are coming out. I feel like a lot of them are frame by frame remakes, so I love this new take on the villain. Love it. Ghostbusters, just missed out. I think it just returns to form. Great nostalgia, great sequel, and Jason is doing justice to his dad, so I think that's awesome. And then 2 more. I was so confused. I've been so confused, guys, as to where to put movies because of the year that it fell into, and like
Agreed,
we're
yeah, I
still
know
in,
that.
like
Yeah,
it's
tricky.
typically where it's like, okay, they do it like on December 25th, but like who's
Right.
going to like the Venice Film Festival in the pandemic, like to do this? So like,
Right.
so Tragedy of Macbeth, I was originally having it for this year, but it actually made my list for last year. And I'm going to stick to this. I know that it was in the Oscars. No Man Land, I loved. It's the U.S. Release was this year. So it also played the film festivals last year. Who's going to that? I didn't get to see it, but I loved it. It was actually on my top 10 this year, and I had to change it because I realized that I already won Oscars and stuff that I forgot about. So,
yeah.
That's such
I ran into the same problem with Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm like, it says 2021,
Right.
but it won Oscars.
It's with No Man Land. It's funny because certain sources says 2021, others say 2020. If you read the description, like on like Amazon or IMDb, it's like the description says it's a 2020 film, but if you see the release date, it says 2021. So
which I think Judas and the Black Messiah fell in the exact same trap.
Right. But I'll stick to the U.S. version and just say that. There you go.
Fair enough.
I'm making the rules, okay?
It's my year.
Any year, Chris. Any year, it's good.
So it could be on your list next year as well.
Yeah.
Just keep it going.
Let's keep it going. No Man Land.
Yeah.
I love it. That's it, Chris, for your list?
That's it. I mean, I could go on and on, but that's a good handful.
That's a good one. Awesome. All right, guys. So now I'm going to go down this list. It's 34 titles, but we're gonna shrink it a bit because we mentioned a bunch of them already.
We did talk about it a few. So.
Right. All right. So I'm gonna go. We mentioned The French Dispatch. Wes Anderson's fantastic film. Yep. I think his follow-up since Isle of Dogs, which was in 2019, I believe. So it's nice to see him get to revisit that. Next up, Chris, you're gonna like this, Supernova,
Nice.
Which also I think technically was 2020, but
the sources say 2021.
Oh, is it 2021 technically?
Yes.
I saw it in the theater in 2021. So
and that was actually one of the best movies.
That was one of the movies that kept creeping off my top 10 list. Like early on in the year, it was like my number one, and then it just kept like.
I think I keep this on my top 10 for this year because I put together my list like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But then Chris, I saw that you added this one as for your top 10. And it's a very weird situation for the years, but phenomenally acted, beautiful.
Oh, so good. So good.
You've got Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci, two tremendous actors, and we put them in the same film together. They light it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Tucci actually, apparently,
the hell out of this movie.
Apparently they're good friends, and Tucci asked Colin Firth to play the counterpoint, and he was like, "Yeah, sure." Perfect. So just great. Again, another movie that deals with dementia. And I compared that to the Billy Crystal. I think this one really nails it. Like just him struggling there was that scene where Firth sees his notebook, and like it just goes from just a very rich writing to like just him just scribbling out words and just it being blank. And it was like in a nutshell that explains like just what happens, and it was beautiful. And I love the ending because the ending was very ambiguous, but you knew the inevitable, so it's really good. It's really good. Love it.
And I haven't really, I think this might be the best representation of homosexuality on camera, on screen.
The relationship was
so natural.
It was pure. I wouldn't. There's a lot of movies that deal with that subject, but it's there's a lot of great movies. But for that, I think it was very tender. I think it was just great chemistry. So like yes, I agree.
Chris, thank you for bringing it to our attention. This wonderful, wonderful film, because this would have, I think this made my list last year, but technically it should be on this year. So beautiful film.
Okay.
Thanks for putting it on the list.
That's right. I'm making the rules. So, here we go.
No, Chris did his research. He brought the receipts.
Perfect. All right. All right, next up, Don't Look Up, which is fantastic. Adam McKay, all-star cast led by the great Leonardo DiCaprio, who I love. I watch everything he's in.
Jonah Hill, Meryl Streep. I mean, like
Kate Blanchett, Tyler Perry,
Mark Rylance.
Mark Rylance.
Everyone, does their part.
And whatever the teeth that Mark Rylance was wearing. Okay. It's like, oh man, those teeth on him.
It was very fun. He's great too in everything I've seen.
I love Rylance, yeah.
Yeah. I think, did he win an Oscar for Bridge of Spies?
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, fantastic film too.
2016.
That was like 16, 17.
Yeah.
Great film. All right, moving along. No Time to Die. Licorice Pizza, which we mentioned a few times.
I want to see it.
It's a curious film. It's a lovely, it's a love story between an unlikely pair set in the 1970s. Paul Thomas Anderson, he writes characters really, really well, especially romantic situations. So it was I thought it was very refreshing.
And of course, based on the life of Tom Hanks's buddy,
Peter Scalera.
No. What's his face? His producing buddy.
Tom Hanks.
Pooch?
The kid in the movie is his character is based on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's based on the actual situation that happened, because he was in that movie with Lucille Ball with all the kids.
Okay, yeah, that scene.
Yours, Mine, and Ours.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be Lucille Ball.
Okay.
So yeah, it's based on a real person who produces movies with Tom Hanks.
Well, I know John Peters is portrayed by Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
So I didn't know there were other real life. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. But yeah, fantastic movie.
Yep.
Heartwarming, funny, heartbreaking.
Yep.
Wonderfully acted by the two leads.
Yep.
And
an entire Haim family is in it, which is wonderful. Mom, dad, all the sisters.
They could actually, this is their acting debut.
Yeah.
They did excellent.
Yeah. And I know we made this joke when we were talking about Red Rocket, but for all the controversy over the age difference, like, did you see Red Rocket?
Yeah, it's like, you're going to play about this age gap?
You want to talk about awkward age differences?
He turns 18 in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Strawberry was 17. He
Yeah.
was 47. And in Licorice Pizza, he's 15 or 16? She's 29.
Yeah.
It's not so
Yeah.
bad. Still
Whereas he in Red Rocket, when he's late 40s, she's 17.
Did you guys like Licorice
Hey, Woody Allen made a career out of it. So.
Oh dear God!
Wasn't going to say it.
Chris, what do you think of Licorice Pizza?
Me?
Or did you not see it?
No, it's on my shame list.
Oh, it's on your
Also
shame.
on my
To
show.
my great shame, I have still not seen it.
Okay. Rachel, same.
Yep, same. Have not seen it yet.
Just
on my
the
shame
guys-
It's at the top of my must see.
Gotcha. Well,
Shame. Know your name.
check it out.
I know.
All right. Cool. All right. Last night in Soho, we touched on Edgar Wright. He can pretty much do no wrong.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah,
that
still
was
have-
for me.
Still have yet to see it.
It's good. It's not on any of my list, but it was enjoyable.
It was on my honorable mentions, which I cut because it was on somebody's top 10. So
Got it. Well, I love the aesthetic. Like it
the
felt
aesthetic's great.
it felt like the 60s.
The cast was
Great.
phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure.
Matt Smith.
Fantastic editing.
It was just great seeing him play someone kind of like crooked and not the doctor.
Matt Smith, the best doctor?
And
Or is that too controversial?
Anya Taylor-Joy, she was great too. She's a beautiful girl. All right.
It's been a good year for her.
Yeah. Nice. All right. What else? We got? The Eyes and Tammy Faye. I think that's on one.
That was on my top 10.
I think
10?
it was on
Haven't
my
seen it,
honorable
no.
mention
Okay.
initially. I
I almost put that on honorable mentions.
Again,
It
another
was an honorable mention for me.
Again,
Nice.
another great performance from
Jessica Chastain.
from
Yeah,
Jessica
seriously.
Chastain
Yep.
and Andrew Garfield.
It was down to her or Lady Gaga for my best actress. We'll get to that.
And see if I had seen House of Gucci, that might have
Yeah.
that would have been make or
But
break
it was a tough one because Jessica Chastain, like,
She disappeared in that role.
really
She
killed
did.
it.
She really
I
did.
remember as a
Um,
kid seeing the commercials or whatever on TV.
Oh yeah, well, my grandma was a born again Christian,
Oh.
so I grew up
Ah.
watching 700 Club. Like I was a
Yeah.
little Jewish boy watching 700 Club. And,
My
it-
God,
this thing
so
was
sorry.
I just knew, and for me, I just knew, I primarily knew Tammy Faye Baker as like this pop culture figure.
Oh yeah,
Like she would appear on shows like this. Like by the time I knew of her, she was doing shows like The Surreal Life,
yeah. Oh yeah.
or like Hollywood, or like I remember like even seeing her on an episode of Hollywood Squares.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I watched them in their heyday, man, and like yeah, I was forced to watch that stuff. I was told that everything I liked was the devil's work. But there was always something I thought was so fascinating about
Yeah.
Tammy Faye Baker.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
it was like anytime anyone like Pat Robertson, I absolutely despise that guy. Like always have
Rightfully so.
as a kid. But they bring in Tammy Faye, and it's just something just so fascinating about her as a
Mhm.
person.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And they go into depths of the show that like she was so much more human and caring and compassionate. But it was such a weird story, and I absolutely love this movie.
Could have been a Tim Burton. He could have directed, I think.
Only if you wanted to be ruined. Actually, I like
Different movie.
Yeah.
That
was decent.
I've liked Tim Burton. Like I've liked his last two movies. I'm hoping that he continues making movies I like again.
Yeah, he's unpredictable. I don't know.
He's
But,
he's been hit or miss for the last 20 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But Chastain and Garfield, phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean,
The
Andrew
boy-
Garfield-
and also Vincent D'Onofrio.
Andrew
was
Garfield-
really-
Yes, I was just gonna mention. Yeah, Vincent
Oh,
D'Onofrio as
D'Onofrio.
Jerry Falwell,
Yeah.
just inspired
Kingpin and
casting.
Taggart, man, he kills it.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Andrew Garfield, I just want to give him a trophy for being the best dude this year.
3 for 3.
Yeah.
3 for 3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've always liked him. I liked him as Spider-Man. I just didn't like the movies.
Yeah.
And
For me, it was Hacksaw Ridge that really it made me
Oh, he
appreciate
was
So
great in that.
but this year it's Garfield's year, man.
He had a banner year.
Absolutely.
2021
Well,
was the
and-
year of Garfield.
Hmm.
And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the Monday lasagna eating cat.
well, No Way Home
Andrew
proved.
Garfield, baby.
But wait, someone
Tick tick boom.
but I say something. I say we go to Andrew Garfield's house and leave some lasagna on his doorstep.
Yeah, right. But yeah,
Well, I think No Way Home
He's
proved
had a good year.
he was always a
And,
better Spider-Man than the material.
That's right.
Mm.
Oh yeah, it was directed by Michael Showalter from the state,
Yep.
who he's been putting out a lot of great movies over the years. Also, did like
Yeah, hello, my name is Doris.
yeah,
Oh my gosh,
that was
such a
such
good
a-
movie.
absolutely
Yes,
love that
was
movie.
so, that was
Yeah.
a cute
It
movie.
was
Um,
cute.
Michael Showalter, and the funniest thing is, I once had dinner with Michael Showalter
Really?
and a bunch of other comedians,
Cool.
and he skipped out on the check.
Oh
Ooh.
shit.
And he ordered a bunch of shit, ate it, and skipped out on the check. And I was with Brett Gelman. I don't know if any of you are familiar with who he is. He used to be Little Luck in the Lotto commercials. He's in everything. But I was with him, and I was like, "What the fuck? Did Showalter just leave without paying?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, he does that all the time." And everyone's just like, "Okay." And I'm like, "He's like the one guy here who can afford like
Yes.
like everyone's bills." And he just fucking left. So I've always been like, that guy's a dick.
Yeah.
But like, I love his body of work. Tremendous.
Again, that's kind of like when Tom Hanks snubbed me for an autograph.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm never gonna live that down.
But yeah, so I had to pay a little for Showalter's dinner, but I fucking love his movies.
He needed that. That was his budget for Tammy Faye, so he couldn't spend that on dinner.
Yeah, right.
Nice anecdote, Matt. And I think that's a good segue into our next film, Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Thwip.
Yeah, and this was just.
I mean, nothing happened in that one, right?
What?
Spider-Man gets in the trouble. Spider-Man gets in the trouble. That's it, right? Nothing big. No big surprises. No big reveals. Just Spider-Man gets in trouble. Yeah.
Maybe 2 awesome cameos, at least 2 great ones.
At least
I was gonna say a lot more than that. I mean,
yeah,
it was just great to see everybody and
to bring it all together.
right.
I feel like as much as everyone talks about Tobey and Garfield, as well they should, Defoe's return as Goblin was fantastic.
Yeah, I think they greatly improved on his Green Goblin.
Oh, definitely.
We don't need the mask. Have you seen Defoe's face? He doesn't need a mask.
Yeah. And I was so happy that like he breaks the mask as soon as you see it. I'm like, thank God. But
for me, it's always the scene where you actually see Peter like realize it with the spider sense, and even though like Norman's gone right now, and it's like, oh, this is exactly what you need, just the crazy face back and forth for Defoe.
I was watching Nightmare Alley today, and I wanted so much more Willem Dafoe.
Yes,
he's not in it nearly as much. As
and he's so incredible.
He's great.
Like, oh God, I mean,
I'm gonna probably binge everything he's done right
now. I mean,
after this.
We've mentioned so many movies this year that don't have
any
that aren't this year with Willem Dafoe. Lighthouse. We mentioned,
Florida Project.
He's a Florida Project. He's insanely good.
He's great.
And the fact that he really brings his A game to the Spider-Man movie. He just like really like. We see a Norman we didn't get to see before. It's so intense.
Yeah.
There's so many movie moments in this film that are heartwarming and heartbreaking. I cried like a baby
when Aunt May died
a few times. I mean, and even the little things like when they fix Doc Ock, and like. With him and Peter talking to each other, where it's
that was my favorite moment when him and Tobey had their little reunion.
I burst into tears. Like I was like, oh my God, like
my theater was cheering so much throughout that movie. Like when Matt Murdock had his cameo.
Oh man, that was the first.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what that movie was. It was a crowd pleaser. It was like the second the Spider-Man show up, and then of course the entire finale is just cheer moment after cheer moment after cheer moment, and in the wait, you're gonna kill Tobey? Don't you kill Tobey? Okay, good, all right.
Oh,
don't you dare kill Tobey Maguire.
Or you're gonna kill MJ again?
Yeah.
You knew he was.
Oh my God, and when Andrew Garfield makes that save,
like my audience was cheering because he redeemed himself from Gwen.
Yeah,
well, and apparently that was the
when you see his face, his reaction. And then him going after her.
But you're
Niagara Falls.
Scrooged.
Thank you. That sounds so familiar.
Because this movie was all about redemption for. I mean, you get the redemption for so many characters. Something like not that Goblin needed it, but you still get that. But Electro gets even gets a lot of love. So Jamie Foxx finally gets to play a great Electro, and Garfield finally gets his comeuppance to be a great Spider-Man.
Also, if you want to get some additional entertainment from Spider-Man: No Way Home, watch Nicole Byers' recap of what she thinks happened in the movie. She has seen exactly one Marvel movie, which was Black Panther. She has seen none of the Spider-Man movies, and she was taken to go see No Way Home, and she tried to explain on Seth Meyers' show what she thought happened in No Way Home.
Comedian, who's this?
Nicole Byers.
Nicole Byers
from
Nailed It, Wipe Out. She's a stand-up comedian.
Amazing.
That's funny.
So I love No Way Home.
Yeah,
it was one of the best. And the only thing that frustrates me the most with No Way Home is I'm a big stickler for Spider-Man costumes, and Holland has had some really good costumes. His best one for me was the end one from Far From Home that he wears a bit. And then they go through all this movie. The integrated suit's good. And then they have the perfect Spider-Man suit for the last 5 seconds of the movie. And it's like, no, that's the best Spider-Man suit I've ever seen.
Back to square one, baby. The original suit. It's beautiful.
I like
no.
The black and red looks really sleek.
I mean, I love the Iron Spider,
which is this Far From Home one, which I do love. I do love that, but it's like, it's just I'm looking. I'm like, you give me the perfect thing, and you just take it away from me.
Well, it's such a great because it's a great like way to end it because it's like you want the next movie that much more, you know?
Right.
Yeah, he is now officially
we're gonna get
Peter Parker, penniless and
Spider-Man.
alone.
I mean, it'd be crazy if like the next movie comes out and he's back to the other suit.
Completely.
I'd probably go punch a person.
No,
but
this Peter needs to be back in spandex and no longer having nano arms and crazy Iron Man suits.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That was a crowd-pleasing film and wonderfully nostalgic, and the movie we needed during the pandemic for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely the movie we needed to spread Omicron. There was
it's all Spider-Man.
I was dying to see this movie. I was like, oh, it comes out the day after my birthday. I'm so excited. I got goddamn COVID on my birthday.
Oh.
J. Jonah Jameson's right. That Spider-Man's a menace.
So it's like one of those things where it's like, do I go to the movie theater and expose everyone to COVID? Or do I wait and hate myself?
Be responsible.
I waited and I hated myself. But when I saw it, it was definitely worth it.
But you saved humanity. So
I probably got COVID again, but just by going to see it. But
you're just like Spider-Man. You're saving humanity.
I
know. And that leads me to our next crowd-pleasing film, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Huge fan.
Sorry, I haven't seen it, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry, it's available. It just was released in an Ultimate Collector's Edition box set,
which I just got this past week.
Nice.
No.
Considering that you guys are the biggest ghost, like especially you, Randy, you're like the biggest Ghostbuster people I know. The fact that you guys liked it, definitely, it's like, okay, clearly it has some magic in there.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where, you know, it's like going into it, it's like seeing all the trailers. It's like, oh, I'm so excited for this. But part of me was like, don't give any hope in. Don't be hopeful. You'll just get Star Wars Phantom Menace. And you know, I don't think I've been this excited about a sequel or whatever since Phantom Menace, because that killed my love of like everything.
I was a little nervous going into it.
I was so nervous. I was very nervous
after 2016. Like, come on, how can you not be?
Yeah, when I saw the teaser trailer, I was like, when I first saw the teaser trailer, when they were just showing the Ecto one in the barn, I wasn't quite sure what to make of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it hits nostalgia the right way. It's a beautiful tribute to Ghostbusters.
Yes.
You know,
while telling a new story.
Yeah.
Telling and expanding the story.
Technically you'd call it Ghostbusters 3 because I don't think they count the video game.
It is a requel.
Yeah. A requel. I like
it is fantastic. And
no spoilers for Mr.
I know,
Godfrey.
that's why I'm trying to.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You know, it leaves the garage door open for a future in Ghostbusting.
Yeah,
and I'm excited for that.
And I already know that Jason Reitman, he's signed on to do some other stuff, some other content with Ghost Corp. So we're gonna get some fun stuff.
It was I
will be checking it out as soon as I can.
It hit all the right spots.
Yeah,
you know,
this was actually my number.
Absolutely.
Mine too.
This was my number one for this year for sentimental reasons. We're gonna get into my real, I guess you call it a real number one later on in the show.
Yeah, my real number one is Spider-Man. I just talked the shit out of it.
Yeah. I guess,
and then like, you know, it was like mine was like Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, and then like Pig and Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But
you know what? I'm not ashamed. I'm a ghost. I'm a ghost head through and through.
Same here.
Afterlife is my true number one. That's it.
All right.
I'm not ashamed.
You've heard it here.
I couldn't go on without
now Randy's making the rules.
It's like we're done. All the rest of the movies Ghostbusters.
Randy's like, this is my show. I make the
rules. This year, I was like, the hell with it. I'm putting it on my top 10.
We like Ghostbusters here. I'm Randy. Did you you not see my coffee table book? It's about the Ghostbusters.
That's right, ladies and
Oh, no, for me this year, like my top 10, I was like,
Did you not see my popcorn bucket right here? It's about the Ghostbusters.
It's true.
mine was mostly popcorn movies and crowd pleasers this year. I have no shame about that.
No, there should be no shame in this. Absolutely not.
There you go. There you go. All right. So continuing down the list, we've got a movie. I don't know whose this is. New York Ninja.
Oh, this was my pick.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I saw a preview for this, and I wanted to see it, but I didn't get to.
Yes, it was a Vinegar Syndrome release. Okay, so actually this production on this movie began back in 1984.
Yes, I did see the trailer for this.
But they didn't finish and release it until this past year. And for me, I'm a fan of like 80s action canon movie, like canon ninja movies like Revenge of the Ninja and American Ninja.
Right.
Yes.
You and
Miami Connection.
Miami Connection, yes.
Yes.
you and Vinny Bonfanti, a friend of the show, big fans of the martial arts stuff from the 80s.
Like I love cheesy 80s action movies. I love ninjas. So
What's not to love?
Yep, and for me, this just hit all the right buttons on in those areas.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh.
Cool. All right, guys. Continuing. All right. I know this one's a big one for Mr. Godfrey. We've got Dune.
Ooh, yeah.
Frank Herbert.
I
That was pretty good.
loved. Like the only thing that worried me was when I found out that it was only a part one, because the thing of it's like, yes, I do think if you're going to tell Dune, you should break it up. But the problem with Dune is convincing people to see the first one to justify it. So when they were like, we're doing a Dune part two, I'm like, thank God. All right, Dune 1 rocks then, because it's like everyone's always talked about the Jodorowsky Dune and of course the Lynch Dune, and I think I always butcher his name, Denis Villeneuve. He got the aesthetic, he got the story. Every actor is perfect in their role. There's never been a better retelling of Dune, and I cannot wait for the second part.
I thought the 80s were a lot of fun though.
Well, it's I mean, it's fun. I sold a copy today, Big Island on Blu-ray.
And watching Rachel like fawn over Duncan Idaho, played by Jason Momoa, was
I love him.
So dreamy.
Love him.
I loved it. It was definitely a great cinematic experience.
Yeah.
This movie was absolutely beautiful. The cast was phenomenal. I look forward to more Dune movies. Let's hope he gets to make as many as he wants.
Well, there's definitely going to be a sequel, so there's definitely a part 2. So I loved it. In all honesty, it's on my top 10. In all honesty, I was not familiar with the franchise or the books prior to. My wife and I loved the movie. It's a beautiful movie. Wish I was able to see it in the theater. We started reading the books, read the first book. It's incredible. I find it interesting though, because I was thinking about Star Wars the whole time. Like it was so and this was the source material was written in the 60s, I believe.
It was prior to, you could tell George took a lot of inspiration from her.
Everyone talks about Star Wars versus Star Trek. I'm like, why isn't anyone saying like Star Wars or Dune? Like I've never heard.
Because Star Wars is such a direct, mimic of Dune, where Star Wars and Star Trek are two completely.
Well, I think also it's just a problem, and maybe this is why I kind of enjoy so much of Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, especially with Filoni, because Filoni gets this, that Star Wars was George going, I like all this and just stuff I love samurai, I love old greaser stuff, I love Dune, and just stuffing it all into a pot, and out comes Star Wars.
That's what I've been loving. The best thing about Book of Boba Fett is how Dune-like it's been.
Exactly.
Every episode, they're just talking about the spice. They're like, oh, the spices. They're like, oh, okay. We're talking Dune now.
Because everything George liked, he just threw all that into Star Wars.
It's like Japanese movies and Dune.
Boom. Yeah, exactly.
And Flash Gordon.
Gordon,
But I mean, the only thing that frustrates me about Dune, and this is why I can't wait for for part 2 is they tease me with worm riding, and you have the and it's like, and they kill her right before she's going to get on the worm, and it's like, no, I need people. The worm riding is one of the coolest things in the book, and I can't wait for the sequel when all of them are going to be riding the worms into battle.
That's when we find out
Pretty
that's
cool.
what Boba Fett was talking about when he said that he's ridden creatures that much bigger than.
I need him on one of the dune worms, like hooked in.
Than a Rancor. It's like, oh, he's a worm rider.
Nice. I just think of Beetlejuice.
Sandworms. You know, I hate them.
I hate them myself.
So Dune was definitely in my top 10.
Nice. All right, next up, Pig. But actually, I think we're going to discuss that in a little while.
Yeah, that was top 10 for me.
I was on my top 10, so I feel like a lot.
It was 10 for me as well.
All right, so that's Pig, and we're going to get to in a moment. Tick Tick Boom, we discussed. Oh, Belfast, we didn't really get into.
That was an honorable mention. Actually, that was a shame. That was a shameless.
Yeah,
Belfast was on my top 10.
It's on my top
I have
list.
to see it. Yeah.
It's a semi-autobiographical story of Kenneth Branagh, who directed and wrote the film.
I did not realize that it was somebody over.
Just a beautiful film about dealing with the troubles and about how being a kid, and both being a kid where you get up to all kinds of trouble that can be anything as, getting caught for stealing candy bar, oops, accidentally being involved in an IRA bombing of a local shop. It's like, and also probably my favorite supporting actor of Kieran Hines as his grandfather.
Yeah.
Oh, he was
So
great.
good.
Yeah.
So good.
He was in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Just a really a lot of gravitas from that.
Yeah, and he's just like the entire cast of Belfast is good, especially Jamie Dornan, and the actress plays the mother.
I think it might be my favorite Jamie Dornan performance, along with his performance of Barb and Star.
Yeah.
Like in Barb and Star, he's going to be full on ridiculous, comedic, like just outrageous, and then in Belfast, he is kind and sweet and conflicted. And there's a scene in it, like Belfast is one of the 2 movies this past year that are on my list that literally made me sob. Like I was in the theater watching Belfast and just like full body sobbing watching that movie at times, because there's a scene that I can't even talk about from it because like it just gets me.
Plus the cinematography. Oh, what a gorgeous movie.
It's a really beautifully shot movie. Also the use of color in it, I think, is really very smart. But
love it.
Chris, if you get a chance to see it, I highly suggest it.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh.
Put that on my shameless too.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those movies where I loved so much about it. It's like overall, it didn't really crack into my tops, but visually one of the greatest things I've seen this year, probably next to West Side Story, maybe the Tragedy of Macbeth. But it was definitely up there with the most beautiful cinematography.
It's definitely going to win at least. I mean, I hope it wins some Oscars.
Yeah.
There's
also been a movie there in black and white, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Belfast, Macbeth.
The Nightmare Alley also is in black and white.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, come on, it's in black and white.
Yeah, I don't know, it just adds to it somehow. It just
Especially
dramatically,
Yeah, it's just,
especially with how creative they're being with it, like especially
especially with Cohen, Joel Cohen.
Yeah, I mean they really know how to work it.
The man who wasn't there.
Yeah. But like Branagh, like really like there's even the way it's shot looks different than a lot of other.
Because what was nice was Branagh himself said that there was a photographer, war photographer there, or it was either War of Nature that they were trying to emulate. And I took a look at some of the shots that this photographer is famous for, and it's like, yeah, that's exactly what they were going for.
That's cool.
The name escapes me.
That's cool. All right, guys, moving down the list, we're almost there. We mentioned Tragedy of Macbeth. That was great.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, and
Denzel not enough can be so good.
So excited to go see it.
Yeah.
Definitely watch it with subtitles if you're not too keen on the old English, but
And I mean, I have to call out like you again. What he was apparently they were going for Fritz Lang with that styling, and I think especially the way they handled the cauldron scene with the Weird Sisters was so brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, and the sets were phenomenal. So
so simple. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was so beautiful.
And the use of
love Tragedy Macbeth.
The use of shadows with the black and white was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really. That I think, that was on my honorable mentions. All right, In the Heights we mentioned.
Encanto we mentioned.
Yeah, West Side Story we didn't really get into.
Best movie of the year.
Yeah.
That is for me. That is the number one.
It's tied for best movie of the year with Coda for me. West Side Story, I feel like, was overall like every single like element of the movie was just hitting a 10. Like the cinematography, some of the best shots of the year are from that movie. The performances, all great. Coda, I felt like didn't quite hit all of those marks as far as just like having really impressive cinematography and everything, but because it's also not that type of movie. But Coda just full on stole my heart. That was the other movie that it's like Belfast and Coda were the two movies that I was literally sobbing at one point during like watching those movies.
That was Spider-Man for me.
Yes. Okay, I did cry during Spider-Man.
I understand. No, I mean, the audacity of Steven Spielberg for his first musical to remake West Side Story and then do it better than the original West Side Story. The audacity of that man.
What a powerhouse. I mean,
so it's for me, it's the best movie of the year, and it's also clearly for me, Spielberg is the best director of the year before. I mean, the opening shot alone is here's your Oscar, Mr. Spielberg. But then also we don't have it, but best supporting actress of the year, Ariana
DeBose. Yeah,
it's just like everything, and like one of the best supporting actors of Mike Fast, who played
Riff.
It's just everything that I loved. This
so good.
It was perfect. West Side Story was perfect.
Yeah.
So that's easily I think the best movie of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite an undertaking for Mr. Spielberg, because how can you remake such an iconic film?
Like one day he woke up and was like, I'm going to do West Side Story. And everyone was probably like, no.
Pretty much it,
The reaction.
Been wanting to do musicals for years.
The reaction when he first said was everyone was going, no, don't wait, don't do West Side Story. And then, like I said, then he makes a better movie.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did that.
I could not believe what he accomplished in that movie, because it's like I knew even from the first trailer, when we finally got that trailer, I was like, okay, damn, I'm gonna like this movie. Like it had, because I had all these doubts from the first I heard of it, and I'm like, I don't know, Spielberg, what are you thinking? First trailer, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like this movie.
I mean, you just delivered a classic.
Favorite filmmaker of all time, but when I heard he was attached to this project, I was very hesitant.
I was worried.
I was nervous about it.
I was worried. Yeah.
And I saw an image from it. It's like, okay, that looks decent, but can it get any better?
And then when you see the film, that intro.
That opening shot of the descending crane and then the thing exploding out, they come with the paint.
You're already you already know, like.
Between him and Tony Kushner writing the updated script for it and recontextualizing the whole thing is that they're knocking down this neighborhood to make way for Lincoln Center, a place that puts on Broadway musicals and puts on all these artistic things, but it's all for rich people.
Just absolutely nailed it.
The entire cast is incredible. Rita Moreno returning as the shopkeeper now. This is great addition to the cast. Very beautiful nod to the original. It's perfect. I love it so much. I love them. Like I said, easily for me, best director, best film, Spielberg and West Side Story. And also, I know I've mentioned a few times, but Janusz Kaminski, who's the cinematographer, frequent Spielberg collaborator, he knocked it out of the park as well here. It's a beautiful look of the film. Blown away every aspect of this film. It's a great one. Oh, all right. So that's West Side Story, guys, the remake. Also What? Sorry.
So good.
It is. It's great.
Yeah.
It really is. I think we mentioned the humans, right?
Yeah, we talked about the humans.
Yes.
And right now, at the end of the list, Rachel touched on it. Coda, this wonderful family dramedy sort of about a girl who's basically the only hearing girl in a deaf family. She's an aspiring singer. She's having some troubles at home, at school. She's trying to keep her family's fishing business afloat rather, and basically it's a wonderful movie. It's actually my number 2. I guess it's my number 1, tied with Ghostbusters. I'm not gonna lie anymore. It's just fantastic. It's beautifully acted, beautiful script, beautiful directed. I can't think of anything bad to say about it. Rachel, you wanna care to share your thoughts a little bit more?
Yeah. I feel like if Ariana DeBose wasn't already the front runner for Best Supporting Actress, I think we'd be giving another Oscar to Marlee Matlin for this movie.
She's great. Yeah.
And she's been such a champion for this and for so many artistic projects for the deaf and hard of hearing community. I love this movie so much. I think it's a story that's needed to be told and needed to be told more often, because certainly like stories about the children of deaf adults and deaf stories have been told, but I don't think I've seen it quite as mainstream as this and told in quite this way. And it's so beautiful how much the filmmakers also trust the actors, especially the deaf actors, in whole sequences where there isn't any spoken dialogue or music. It is all entirely them signing with each other. It's just, I appreciate the love that clearly the people that made this movie have for the deaf community and for some of the struggles and isolation they sometimes feel living in a world that caters to hearing individuals. Yeah. So I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, wow. A very, very important, powerful message. And I don't really know what the response was from the deaf community regarding this film.
It seemed overwhelmingly positive. I think it also helped that the main cast, like Daniel Durant, I've seen him a couple times in various projects he was in. The show Switched at Birth, which also has which deals a lot with the deaf and hard of hearing community. He was also in the Broadway production of Spring Awakening that was produced by Deaf West. He's just a great talent. And of course, Marlee Matlin, a lot of people know her from her work on West Wing, Children of Lesser God, all like just her span of her career. But the character that I think got me the most was probably the father. The actor, I can't remember his name. I'm going to look it up here real quick. But most of the sequences that just had me very emotional all had to deal with his character, because I thought he was funny. Honestly, this movie I think is up there with something like House of Gucci and Barb and Star. That when I was laughing, it was like a laugh out loud. It was not like it was full bodied like laughing at this movie. I also love all the jokes involving especially messing up signs, like common mistakes, like the "nice to meet you." Nope, that's not how you sign meet.
Oh, by the way, the dad, the actor is Troy Kutzer.
Yep.
Kutzer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the whole family was phenomenal in the movie.
Oh yeah, no, like this was my favorite screenplay. I put this down as my favorite screenplay. I loved Coda. I was also in tears through that whole ending. Just.
This is the year of musicals and the year of crying in movies.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately for me, I cry during every movie.
Which I guess then Andrew Garfield got me crying twice.
No, I almost threw up. I did a lot of crying. I did so much crying in the theater this year. I'm so glad that half the theaters were empty. They did a lot of ugly crying.
No, that is ridiculous.
Actually, there was something that this is on my honorable mentions list. I think this is also on the cumulative list. That
Yeah.
Documentary. I said it was because you said I saw it was on your list.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on it at all. Val.
Oh,
Val was great.
Yes.
Val was really good.
Oh, I didn't have that. Okay.
A great.
I decided not to mention until we.
All right. So thank you, Forrest.
A great documentary about a great actor, just a fascinating examination of his life.
Yeah.
From his own perspective.
And I didn't even know he had throat cancer.
Yeah, it was kind of a shock to most people.
I've seen photos of him recently in the last few years. It's like something's off about him.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had throat cancer, and he had.
Yeah, because I remember like seeing him in what was that movie? The other Coppola did.
Roman.
James Franco, based on a James Franco book.
Oh, wait.
Palo Alto was
Sophia Coppola?
Oh, Palo Alto.
Palo Alto.
yeah.
I didn't see that.
He has a brief role in that, and it was like, like everyone was making fun of him because they're like, oh, look how fat he is, and which is like absolutely hate when people do this to actors, and then it's like they did the same thing with Chadwick. It's like, oh, he's so skinny, and it's like, and then you find out
he's going through some stuff,
garbage.
And Brendan Fraser, recently too.
Yeah, but it came out, and and most recently they've been doing the Bridget Fonda. She just came out of her house for the first time in like a decade, and everyone's like, oh, she's overweight now, and it's like, just get off her back. She was in a disabling car accident that ended like that's why she stopped acting. Was because she got in a really severe car accident, and people are just all over there and making fun of her, and it's like, but they did this to Val Kilmer, and then it's like years went by, and it's like I guess he did a bunch of conventions they show in this movie, and it's like half it was so hard for him to even be there, and it's just so sad. I mean that guy, like, I mean, such talent. And it's like, I mean, growing up, like, I mean, Top Secret was one of my all-time favorite movies.
Batman Forever for me,
and Real Genius. Like those two movies were, so funny, so good. And then he made Willow, and he made like
Tombstone.
Oh my God, Tombstone. He's so good.
Tombstone.
Doors. I mean, what a career. And then once he did Batman, everybody like kind of was like make fun of him.
A little after that.
Ghost in the Darkness wasn't bad.
The Saint and like but like what a career, what a phenomenal actor.
Right.
And he's one of the last like true actors, like they like they don't make
I get that
anymore.
I mean, this is a guy who would make home videos just to send to casting directors.
I mean, like the whole him talking about doing the Doors movie when he found out that like like he sang all the songs. He like became like even the Doors. Like we couldn't tell the difference between Jim and Val. Like it's insane. What a talent, and such a heartbreaking film, and it's a wonderful treat that he filmed all this stuff.
It was done by it was produced by A24 as well.
I think you might be right.
And his son narrated it, and when I first saw the trailer for it, I thought that was him. No, it was his kid. It was his son.
His son narrated.
It's his son, and they also use
exactly like him.
They also use like voice alteration.
Right.
Like old clips. And it's a great companion piece to the Hulu movie that came out this year that Soleil Moon Frye shot.
What was it called?
30 Punky Brewster
Video 90 or
Video 90, I think,
or something 90. But
that was really good too.
But it's great. There's so many actors crossed over in both of them. It's just like it's just phenomenal that all these people were shooting their own stuff at the time.
Yeah.
So
And-
I think Val is currently on
Amazon Prime.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Amazon Prime.
It's a beautiful
Yeah.
film. It's really
But
great.
yeah, definitely a must see
Yeah.
for anyone who loves acting, anyone who loves Val Kilmer, any movies in general. Like
Even
I
if
mean-
you're a hardcore fan of his, even if you're a casual admirer, I'd say see it.
Mhm.
It's
Absolutely.
a wonderful documentary. And I think it's the only documentary on my top 10 list, actually.
yeah, that's I usually do a separate top documentaries, so I left all documentaries off mine.
Oh,
But
I see.
I mean that was
All right.
what a film.
Yeah, and there's one more film that we're actually gonna mention in a little while because
Donnie's Bar Mitzvah.
yeah, of course. No,
So, Donnie's Bar Mitzvah was probably the greatest movie of the year, next to Mr. Birthday.
yeah. Oh God,
Those two movies I think made my
Oh,
year.
no.
I am so sorry, guys. Total trash. No, but I wanted to mention this movie that came out. I think came out during the summer called Respect, and it
Aretha
is
Franklin.
Aretha Franklin's biopic starring the great Jennifer Hudson as Franklin. And
Who I haven't seen, I haven't seen her in anything in a long time.
yeah, she was on hiatus for I forget what reason, but she came back in full force with this because she fantastic performance, and I think she sang all her songs.
I know that she was in the stage production of The Color Purple, playing
Okay.
Shug
Yeah.
Avery in
Okay.
that.
Okay, good to know.
But it was Jamie Foxx
Yeah.
was in this film.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
not James.
no, you mean Marlon
Marlon
Wayans.
Wayans. Marlon Wayans,
Who was phenomenal,
who was fantastic.
as the abusive boyfriend.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Mark Maron made an appearance
who I love.
as our manager.
He wasn't in enough.
He wasn't in enough, but he
No.
was great. And of course, playing her father.
Oh, I forget who it was.
You forgot who played.
What?
Come on.
Hold on. Don't tell me.
I won't tell you. I won't tell you.
Let's see here.
He's gonna look it up. That's what he does all day. With
Yeah.
It was Will Smith.
looking things up.
Who do we got?
They
Is
don't
King
even
Richard?
post them. They don't want Randy to know that there he is. There's my boy.
Oh,
Forrest
Forrest.
Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker, man.
Forrest Whitaker.
Uh-huh.
The name that I wish more people would bring up when I tell them my name
Yeah, Forrest.
instead
I
of
know.
I'm
Forrest
like next to a guy named Forrest.
Right.
You can't remember Forrest Whitaker.
Well, he didn't.
Dude, his performance was so good in this movie.
He's good at everything.
But yeah, we expect it from Forrest Whitaker.
True.
All right. So that's Respect, and it's wonderful.
Respect to Forrest Whitaker.
Yes, please.
That Randy forgot. He doesn't remember Forrest Whitaker. He doesn't remember you were in that movie.
No wonder Tom Hanks didn't give you an autograph.
I won't go so
Don't
Forrest
expect
Whitaker.
any Forrest Whitaker
I
autographs.
won't. All right, guys, we got a few more minutes left. I want to do it's award season where we're getting there, and I want to just do with you
All right,
guys.
so we're gonna give out the Randys right now.
Yeah, I was gonna call them the No?
I like the Randys.
Randys. All right, it's the Randys.
Give them the Randys.
So we're gonna do some categories here. We got first up is Best Actor. It's between two individuals, and we compiled this. Rachel did a great job of compiling a list of all the nominees and all the films. So we'll have like two or couple nominees for each category.
So the nominees
for best actor in a motion picture are
Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom,
He got 2 votes.
and then Nicolas Cage for Pig.
We got 4 votes, so that makes Nicolas Cage the winner. You can tell we rehearsed this.
So someone want to get his agent on the phone so he can do an acceptance speech.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Thanks so much.
I want to thank everyone involved in this Zoom call.
Just want to let you know I did 7 other movies this year.
Yeah.
Which I
And please cast me as Superman.
Yeah. Please.
and
Right now.
I should
He's,
really
he's on a streak, though, I gotta say.
Yes. Oh, I saw
that movie was
That
like so much fun,
That was great.
and my kids loved it.
Which one? Which one?
Willy's Wonderland.
Oh, that's fun.
was
Yeah,
fantastic.
that was fun.
That was
That was
decent.
fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
The other one was okay, but Willy's Wonderland, that was a good one.
His next movie that he portrays himself, I can't wait to
Yeah.
I
watch.
cannot wait.
Yeah.
I
It
cannot
looks
wait.
good.
Oh boy.
Mhm.
Oh, man.
And he's gonna play
Pedro Pascal in it too. Yeah.
he's gonna play
Well,
in the
maybe he
Dracula
needs to
movie.
do-
He's gonna play Dracula. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Maybe Nick Cage needs to do a musical now. If that's how Andrew Garfield got up there, it's like maybe it is time for whoever's got the next musical. It's time for give Nick Cage those singing chops.
I like that idea. All right. Next up on the list. Oh, this is a much bigger list we've got.
Yeah, much more.
All right. So, Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Jane Houdyshell, The Humans.
I'm gonna guess that was Rachel's.
Yes.
Excellent choice.
I had a tie for mine, so
Oh,
technically.
Rachel's. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Forrest, you want to go next? Read it.
Rachel Zegler, West Side Story.
Matt.
Jodie Comer for Last Duel.
That was me.
Jessica Chastain, The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Kirsten Dunst, Power of the Dog.
Lady Gaga for House of Gucci.
How's it good? Gucci.
Hey, Gucci.
And Jennifer Hudson for Respect.
So I
Wait,
think,
Rachel, did we all have different actresses?
I think we all had different actresses.
Literally
yeah.
every single person had a different actress on the list, so they
So
all
the
get
winner
to
is
like.
all of them. They
So-
all
so
get
the winner-
Congratulations, everyone.
So the winner is Lindsay Lohan's gonna go up. She's gonna take the Oscar and break it into pieces like her scene from Mean Girls and just toss them each a bit of
There
the
you
Oscar.
go. That
I
works.
thought they were gonna do like a Mexican standoff.
They don't
All right,
have
all right, everyone. Your best 5 minutes back.
We'll get Oprah, and she'll say, "You get a Randy. You
You
get
get
a
ready.
Randy."
You get ready. You get ready. Look under your seats, everyone.
Yeah. I need to
We'll put out the marketing campaign and we'll have them all
I'll make
see which one can convince voters to switch their votes.
All right, guys. We've got up for Best Director. So I'll read the ones that aren't going to be the winner first.
Oh,
So, Ridley Scott for 2 movies, House of Gucci and The Last Duel.
Well
Edgar
deserved.
Wright, Last Night in Soho.
Jane Campion for Power of the Dog.
And with 4 votes, Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. Yay.
Yay.
I hope he's got room on his shelf for a Randy.
Man, one of these days, Steven Spielberg is going to be a household name. Just you wait.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, "Where's my Randy?"
I think this Steven Spielberg, I think he's got potential.
He's got something.
I take this very seriously. I want my physical Randy
Why does he sound like?
because that's
I was
what,
going to say, yeah, he's.
that's when you get
I
mad.
feel like-
going for Randy.
I don't think
like
at this
it, I
point,
like
you know what? Let's not give Spielberg any more Oscars. Let's just give him hats. I feel like at this point, he just needs more hat
No,
collection.
I say we do it like they do in sports and give him a Gatorade bath.
Yeah.
So one of us is gonna see Steven Spielberg on the street and just throw Gatorade on him.
Congratulations!
Like it's what we're doing.
And John Williams will score that.
It's what we're doing.
Just switch, since we're like dumping stuff, do it like they do at the Kids' Choice Awards and slime them.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay. All right. 2 more categories left, guys. This is for Best Screenplay. We've got, wow, this name is hard. Nicole Holofner.
Holfsner.
Haas and Pfeffer Incorporated.
I like
We're
Haas and
gonna
Pfeffer.
do it.
For The Last Duel. We've got Kenneth. Oh, sorry.
Kenneth
Forrest.
Kenneth Branagh, Belfast.
Careful.
Cyan Heater. Coda.
Yay!
Paul. This is not the winner. John Lee Hancock, The Little Things. Forrest for the winner.
And with three votes, Paul Thomas Anderson, Licorice Pizza, the winner.
Yay.
I have a feeling if I had seen Licorice Pizza, I probably would have joined in with that vote.
Nice. All right.
And Best Picture is a 3-way tie.
And here to present the best picture. Who do we have? Who would be good for this?
Oh,
Well, if
How
it's
about
from
Ray?
last year, Bong Joon-ho, or wait, no, like it was who won last year? It was Chloe Zhao for
Chloe Zhao
for Nomadland.
Well,
Yeah.
she won for Nomadland.
That's
Yeah.
it. So she'd have to
Picture
present.
and director. I'll just read these all off. For Best Picture, We've got
The runner-ups.
Yeah, the runner-ups are Spider-Man: No Way Home,
Yay.
The Power of the Dog,
Yeah.
and now with 2 votes apiece, Ghostbusters Afterlife,
Yeah.
Coda,
Yay.
and West Side Story.
Yay.
Oh, it's a 3-way tie. West Side Story, Coda, and Ghostbusters Afterlife.
We did it, guys. 3 best pictures.
We did
Yay.
Another year and another Randy's.
So
They're in the mail.
with that, guys, everyone watching, my wonderful guests tonight, thank you for celebrating this year in film.
All those involved, your Randy's will be arriving.
Yeah.
Yes, you'll each get pickles in the
Standard
mail.
shipping. Please allow 7 to
Randy's
14
in the
business days.
Well,
Would I lie to you?
There you go. That'll be the perfect statue.
Nice.
A pickle that's in the shape of Randy.
Or a
Pickled Randy.
A pickled Randy.
We'll photograph Randy dressed up as the classic stork.
Sounds a little perverted.
I'll work on that costume for next year. Awesome.
Everyone wants a pickled Randy.
Wait, stork.
It's a statue of Randy, and he has the proton pack and a pickle.
Ooh, that's
a collector's edition.
I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much. This was a great year, great show, great award season, and we'll see you next year. But before then, we'll have more Under the Radar episodes for you. So stay tuned. Thanks, guys.
May the Randy be with you.